Men in black suits fill a somber hallway for a funeral. Mourners share a silent, tense meal together. Incense smoke curls into the air, marking a final farewell. A man takes a frustrated drag from his cigarette, muttering in anger. Two men reflect on the tragic loss, feeling it was all for nothing. Suddenly, one of them turns, sensing something is amiss. A young man named Dam walks away with a box, claiming he needs fresh air. His friends watch him go, but one has a sudden, dawning realization. He breaks into a sprint, shouting Dam's name in alarm. An older man furiously demands to know where Wang Dam has gone. Outside, Dam is already on a motorcycle, ready to make his escape. The man's face contorts with rage as he screams at the boy. Dam calmly says his goodbyes, leaving his uncle behind forever. The uncle spots the box's label. It's the condolence money. Dam speeds away, calling the stolen cash his rightful inheritance. The enraged uncle orders his men to chase after the thief. A subordinate bursts through a door, shouting that there's an emergency. The news spreads like wildfire through the entire crowd of mourners. Even at the funeral altar, the uncle can only shout Dam's name. The deceased's portrait stares back as a narrator speaks of adaptation. Dam rides through the city, a lone figure escaping his environment. But the lid on his precious cargo has popped open. Bills begin to fly out of the box, scattering into the wind. The money rains down over a construction site, a strange gift from above. A woman watches the cash flutter by, questioning the harshness of life. Elsewhere, a tired schoolgirl sits alone on the curb, scrolling on her phone. Her eyes widen as the flying money suddenly catches her attention. Dam's bike speeds past, leaving a trail of cash and a new perspective. On a bridge, pedestrians stop and stare at the bizarre scene. Dam finally stops to check the box, wondering if anything is left. He counts the remaining cash, figuring it's just enough. With a confident grin, he declares it's plenty for a new start. Dam looks out over the city, determined to prove himself. Dam finds his new home, a cheap and dingy one-room residence. The landlady leads him down a narrow hall, explaining the layout. He sarcastically comments on the nice vibe of the broken kitchen. Looking at the crumbling ceiling, he dryly calls the decor classic. She laughs at his joke, but Dam's expression is completely serious. While she lists the rules, a girl in a purple tracksuit emerges. She gives Dam a cold, assessing stare as she walks past. The landlady notes the floor is co-ed, so she's selective with tenants. She cheerfully adds that Dam looked all right, so she accepted him. Dam remains silent and unimpressed as she welcomes him. Alone in his room, he collapses onto the small, squeaky bed. He grimly admits his fresh start is not going well at all. A flashback shows the money scattering across the city streets. He sits up in despair, realizing he's broke and his plan is ruined. Covering his face in frustration, a new thought begins to form. His eyes land on a school uniform hanging on the wall. In a flashback, Dam furiously yells into his phone. He tells his uncle to stop calling, insisting he's not coming back. The uncle screams back, questioning his insane plan to run to Seoul. Dam calmly reveals he brought the condolence money with him. He vaguely mentions that the lid opened and he might have lost some. His uncle explodes, shouting that there was over 50 million in that box. He roars that the money was for their late boss, not for Dam to use. Dam coolly replies that he can just pay the money back. His uncle scoffs, doubting he could ever earn that much doing deliveries. Dam scoffs at his uncle's questions, retorting that it's none of his business. His uncle reveals his own grand plan, opening a new bar called Bambino. After mocking the cheesy name, Dam quickly pretends to like it. The uncle then orders him to attend a school he's been enrolled in. Dam is outraged, questioning why he needs to go back to school. His uncle offers a deal, rank first, and the 50 million debt is forgiven. Thinking it's an easy task, Dam sarcastically praises his uncle's generosity, but a sinister grin from his uncle suggests there's a catch. The school is the notorious Gangbook High, also known as Hard School. It's filled with the toughest students, all on their last chance. Dam smirks at the challenge, ready for a not-so-easy fresh start. He arrives on campus, viewing the rundown building as his new beginning. The hallways are filled with rough-looking students sizing each other up. Intimidating figures patrol the corridors, establishing their presence. Dam walks confidently through the crowd, drawing hostile stares. He notes that the rumors about the students' toughness seem to be true. Stopping for a moment, he admits they look tougher than he thought. He finds his classroom, dismissing the students as mere local bullies. With a new resolve, he decides to show them he's on another level. His plan is to start with a strong initiation to assert his dominance. Inside, the students are surprised by the unfamiliar face. They whisper among themselves, wondering about the new transfer student. Dam slams his hand on the podium, greeting his new classmates with an insult. He introduces himself with a wild grin as Wang Dam from Dijon. Wasting no time, he demands to know who the leader of the class is. His eyes scan the room, searching for the top dog. A student with a bowl cut looks up, confused by the sudden challenge. In a flash, Dam looms over the boy, his expression dark and menacing. But instead of a fight, he's suddenly seen writing something down intensely. Dam turns away flustered, leaving the student completely bewildered. A buzz-cut student glances up from his textbook, clearly annoyed. The entire class is focused on their studies, ignoring Dam's presence. Dam stares in disbelief, completely baffled by the studious scene. He finally erupts, demanding to know what they're all doing. The student calmly explains they're studying calculus, questioning his interruption. Enraged, Dam lashes out, sending the student and his desk flying. The classroom erupts in shock at the sudden outburst of aggression. Dam furiously questions why anyone would study at a school for fighters. His classmates fire back, challenging his sudden appearance and rank. He calls them insane for acting like scholars in a place like this. Dam demands they fight like they're supposed to, much to their dismay. His rant is cut short by a sudden, unexpected impact to his face. A student with a bandaged face rallies others to take Dam down together. A sinister grin spreads across Dam's face. This is the welcome he wanted. One of the students grabs a chair, preparing to use it as a weapon. He charges forward, swinging the chair wildly at Dam. Dam effortlessly deflects the makeshift weapon with a swift kick. Another student lunges, but Dam is already prepared for the next move. He dodges and counters, throwing his opponent completely off balance. The student's face contorts from the force of the powerful blow. Dam stands over his fallen classmate, completely unfazed by the confrontation. The bandaged student glares, furious at the escalating disruption. He rushes in, yelling at Dam for causing such a mess. Dam plants his foot, ready to meet the next challenger head-on. A wild, ecstatic grin reveals he's enjoying every second of the chaos. The bandaged student hesitates, confused by Dam's strange reaction. Dam closes the distance in an instant, landing a decisive blow. The force of the impact sends the student flying across the room. Lying on the ground, the student mutters that this isn't how things usually are. Another classmate looks on in horror, calling out in disbelief. Dam picks up a fallen textbook, its title reading Ethics and Thought. He menacingly holds it up, asking a student if it's his. The terrified student can only stammer in response. In a flash, the book connects with the student's face. The powerful impact sends the boy reeling backwards. His classmates stare in disbelief, wondering if Dam is for real. The textbook drops to the floor with a heavy thud. Dam stands over his fallen foe, challenging anyone else to step up. The remaining students are frozen, unsure of what to do. One boy is pushed forward, nervously claiming he just wanted to see. Dam laughs maniacally at their pathetic display. He admits this isn't what he expected, just as a shadow falls over him. Suddenly, a massive hand grabs him from behind. The large student complains that someone was messing around while he was sleeping. He scolds his classmates for being taken down by a single person. Sizing Dam up, he begins a countdown from 2. Before he can finish, Dam unleashes a powerful kick. The blow lands squarely on the larger student's jaw. He stumbles back, stunned by the unexpected speed. His face contorts from the sheer force of the impact. Dam grabs a handful of his opponent's hair, pulling him close. He prepares to deliver a final, decisive blow. The onlookers can only stare in wide-eyed horror. With a wild grin, Dam announces today's special dish. He unleashes a furious barrage of strikes he calls pork omakase. Each hit is named after a different kind of pork dish. His opponent can only endure the relentless assault. The flurry of attacks continues without mercy. Dam finishes his combo with a powerful spinning kick. The large student is sent flying across the classroom floor. The onlookers can only stare as their leader is thrown across the room. But the large student, Park Hodong, gets to his feet, his eyes burning with rage. He retaliates with a powerful blow of his own. His fist connects with incredible force. Dam is sent stumbling backward from the unexpected counterattack. Hodong grabs Dam by the collar, pulling him in close. He mockingly asks about the menu item Dam mentioned earlier. With a furious glare, he demands to know why Dam is here. Hodong unleashes a heavy strike to Dam's gut. His face is a mask of pure, unrestrained fury. He follows up with a devastating uppercut. Hodong's grip tightens, crumpling Dam's uniform. The force of the blow sends Dam sliding across the floor. Hodong grits his teeth, declaring he can take whatever Dam dishes out. He angrily complains that Dam ruined his brand new shirt. In response, Dam rips his own shirt open, revealing a scarred physique. Hodong stares in shock at the countless marks covering Dam's body. The tough guy's bravado vanishes, replaced by pure terror. A narrator explains Hodong's usual dominance over others. His most intimidating feature was always his fierce gaze. But facing Dam, that fierce expression crumbles. Hodong suddenly drops to his knees, begging for forgiveness. Dam shows no mercy, delivering a final decisive blow. He scoffs at the fallen student, questioning if he was really the boss. The other students erupt in cheers, celebrating their new leader. Just then, a new name appears on screen, Kim Tae-sok. A studious-looking young man stands in the doorway, engrossed in a book. One of the students looks on with a completely bewildered expression. The class begins to whisper, wondering about the newcomer's identity. The bowl-cut student warns Dam that he can't defeat their real boss. The newcomer greets Dam casually, his eyes still fixed on his book. Dam snatches the book, mockingly asking if he's studying Korean. The entire class panics, certain Dam has just signed his own death warrant. With a taunting grin, Dam offers to be his personal language tutor. He glances at the page, realizing it's an English textbook, not Korean. Tossing the book aside, he gets straight to the point. "I heard you're the boss here." Dam challenges him to a fight to decide who will be the new leader. A sudden vision flashes through Dam's mind of a scarred man reaching for a weapon. But Tae-sok simply pulls out a handkerchief to clean his glasses. Dam grows impatient, demanding to know if they're going to fight or not. Tae-sok calmly ignores him, meticulously polishing his lenses. Enraged by the silence, Dam lunges forward with a furious shout. His eyes are wide with unrestrained aggression. Tae-sok effortlessly stops the attack with a single hand. Dam's face contorts in disbelief at his opponent's strength. A single swift motion sends Dam flying across the classroom. Tae-sok adjusts his glasses, delivering a final cutting remark. His eye slowly flutters open, regaining focus. He jolts upright in bed, shouting in confusion. Breathing heavily, he struggles to understand what just happened. He touches his jaw, realizing the unbelievable truth. He was hit. Looking around the unfamiliar room, he wonders if he's okay. A bandaged student explains that Dam suddenly screamed and woke up. He finds himself in the infirmary, having been out for a long time. The student asks if he's the transfer who got into a fight with Tae-sok. Dam furiously denies it, insisting he was the one who was ambushed. The student doubts his story, recalling Dam's own aggressive charge. He cheerfully introduces himself as Sun Si-hwan and offers a handshake. Dam just stares at the outstretched hand, completely unimpressed. Si-hwan offers his services, claiming to be the school's information broker. Dam immediately asks if Kim Tae-sok is truly the top dog here. Si-hwan shouts in confirmation, startling Dam with his intensity. He describes Tae-sok's overwhelming charisma and skills, calling him Tyson. Dam questions the nickname, but another phrase has caught his attention. He demands to know what the employment system is. Si-hwan explains the top 7 students get jobs at major companies. Dam clarifies if grades means they actually have to study. He's furious, questioning why a trash school suddenly sounds so academic. He demands a proper explanation from the nervous student. Si-hwan reveals the school was for delinquents until the chairman intervened. But the students were too unruly to be motivated by jobs alone. Instead of studying, they would confront anyone who outranked them. The system created a brutal environment where only the strongest survived. The situation only continued to get worse. Cheating and forcing others to take tests became routine. The previous leader manipulated the entire school's grading system. The school gave up, and every day was a living nightmare. But everything changed the day Tae-sok transferred in. The old guard immediately tried to intimidate the new student. They mocked him, completely unaware of the power he held. A flash of light reveals the overwhelming force he unleashed. Tae-sok single-handedly took down the school's entire power structure. Si-hwan looks up, still in awe of that memory. He recalls the former leader who once controlled everything. Tae-sok ended the era of cheating, replacing fight rankings with study rankings. He then stood before the school and made a declaration. From now on, the top dog would be determined by grades. Surprisingly, the students who had given up on school started studying. And just like that, the school's chaotic era came to an end. Si-hwan finishes his story, leaving Dam to process the school's bizarre history. Dam considers the wild tale, realizing it's too crazy not to be true. A sudden realization hits him. His uncle's plan was about the corporate jobs all along. Si-hwan confirms that in this school, the top student is the true top dog. Dam suddenly grabs Si-hwan's collar, his patience completely gone. He furiously suggests a more direct approach, with 50 million won on the line. Ranting that he's never studied, he demands they settle things with a fight. But a calm voice interrupts his outburst, stating that would be a problem. The school nurse enters with a cheerful smile, happy to see fewer patients. Dam questions how she knows he's new, but Si-hwan greets her enthusiastically. Si-hwan fanatically explains she's the only teacher who truly cares for them. Dam quickly silences his new friend's over-the-top praise. The nurse gently advises him against fighting, especially on his first day. Her genuine concern for the others seems to catch him off guard. He abruptly changes the subject, asking for the time. Realizing it's the end of the day, he erupts in sudden fury. He shouts that Tae-sok kept him unconscious for the entire school day. A sly thought crosses his mind. Does this count as legally skipping school? Shaking off the thought, he storms out as Si-hwan questions his destination. He ignores their pleas, determined to leave the infirmary. His new mission is simple. He needs to break Tae-suk's glasses to feel better. But an angry student blocks his path, yelling about a long line. Another boy shoves past, faking an illness to get the nurse's attention. Dam peeks outside, completely confused about what's happening. He discovers a massive line of students waiting to see the nurse. They impatiently tell him to stop staring and get out. He fires back with an insult, questioning what they're all doing there. Ignoring their outrage, he walks away, leaving a trail of insults. In the crowd, a few students recognize him from the morning's confrontation. Just then, a pair of clean sneakers steps into the hallway. The students recognize the newcomer, shouting his nickname, Tyson. Dam glares, having finally tracked down his target. Tae-suk calmly asks if Dam is heading home for the day. Dam gets in his face, demanding a rematch before he leaves. The other students mock him for challenging the guy who took him down in one hit. Tae-suk finds the request ridiculous, stating the fight was already decided. With a furious snarl, Dam asks if he's scared to fight again. Tae-suk simply turns his back and begins to walk away. Dam calls out again, questioning if he's really that afraid. A twisted grin spreads across his face as a new idea forms. He threatens to follow Tae-suk home and beg for a fight there. The threat finally makes Tae-suk stop and turn around. Dam taunts him, asking if he's hiding behind the school's weird rules. Tae-suk calmly corrects him, stating it's not weird, it's the system. Dam erupts, shouting that deciding the top dog by studying is insane. Tae-suk sees right through his act, his intentions now clear. He points out that Dam wants the job but refuses to put in the work. He advises Dam to study instead of fighting if he wants to succeed. A flashback of his uncle's rage reminds Dam of the money he has to repay. Tae-suk prepares to leave, but Dam stops him one last time. With a final, desperate insult, Dam's fist begins to glow. The other students watch, realizing he's trying to provoke a fight no matter what. Tae-suk remains unimpressed, asking if Dam is holding back. He turns to leave, saying he's seen plenty of guys like Dam before. With a final word, he tells Dam to take his act somewhere else. Dam's eye twitches, unable to stand being dismissed so easily. So-hwan warns him to just study, saying he got lucky Tae-suk didn't fight for real. Dam grabs the boy, furiously asking if he wants to be his next opponent. Si-hwan nervously backs away, deciding it's time to go home. Dam watches the empty hallway, wondering if Tae-suk is already gone. A voice cheerfully suggests they walk home together. Dam turns to find Si-hwan, questioning why he's suddenly so friendly. Si-hwan admits he just wants to be friends with really strong guys. Dam smirks, easily swayed by the compliment. As they walk, Dam complains that Tae-suk just told him to study. He fumes, realizing he completely underestimated his opponent that morning. Dam rants about Tae-suk's hypocrisy, getting Si-hwan's name wrong. He considers ambushing Tae-suk but dismisses the idea as undignified. Frustrated, he tries to think of a way to make Tae-suk attack him first. Si-hwan listens intently, pondering the problem. He asks why Dam wants to be the top dog if not for the job. Dam looks away, admitting it's a long and complicated story. When asked if he'll study, he scoffs, declaring he's terrible at it. Si-hwan's expression turns serious, saying he's glad Tae-suk is in charge. He explains that for weaker students, the old system was a living nightmare. Thanks to Tae-suk, he can finally attend school like a normal person. He warns that if Dam takes over, the school will return to chaos. A dark, menacing aura suddenly surrounds Dam. Si-hwan panics, immediately apologizing for what he said. But instead of attacking, Dam simply pats his head. He admits he never thought about it from that perspective. With a sincere look, Dam thanks him for the insight. Si-hwan realizes there's more to Dam than he thought. A wild grin spreads across Dam's face as he forms a new plan. Si-hwan eagerly asks if he's gotten his textbooks yet. Dam remembers he spent the entire day in the infirmary. Suddenly, Si-hwan is sent flying by a powerful, unseen blow. Tae-suk stands over him, flanked by two other students. One of the newcomers asks if he's the transfer student, Wang Dam. He introduces himself as Kim Ga-won and his companion as Park Da-hwee. Ga-won confirms the rumors about Dam's challenges to Tae-suk and Ho-dong. He orders Dam to follow them as Si-hwan lies defeated on the ground. Dam stands his ground, silently facing the three imposing figures. With a weary sigh, Dam looks completely unimpressed by the confrontation. Si-hwan suddenly pops up, surprisingly agreeing to their demands. Dam grabs his new friend, telling him to lead the way. As they walk, Si-hwan nervously asks about their secret destination. He worries that the school is about to descend into chaos once again. In a secluded alley, Ga Wung decides to get straight to the point. He reveals they are subordinates of the school's former leader, Jo Johan. Johan was a ruthless ruler from the era when fights decided everything. Dam realizes this must be the former top dog Si-hwan mentioned earlier. He asks if Johan was defeated by Taesuk, but the answer isn't so simple. Ga-wung claims Johan's loss was due to an unavoidable circumstance. He explains that they, like Dam, are unhappy with the school's current state. Their goal is to overthrow Taesuk and restore the school to its former glory. Dam quickly understands they want him to join their cause. Ga-wung praises his quick thinking, assuming he's accepted their offer. But his words are cut short by a sudden, powerful blow from Dam. The unexpected attack sends Ga-wung reeling back in shock. Dam scoffs at the idea of working under someone else. Already furious, he warns them to prepare for a serious beating. Taesuk, who has been watching, dismisses Dam's threat as a joke. Ga-wung asks if Dam thinks they're on the same level as his classmates. Dam's expression hardens, realizing this fight will be different. He's immediately met with a powerful strike from Dahui. Dam braces himself, determined to push through their combined assault. He skillfully dodges as the two students attack him simultaneously. With a swift spinning motion, he prepares a powerful counter. He lands a decisive blow on both of his opponents at once. His opponents stare in disbelief, stunned by the force of his attack. Taesuk clears his throat, completely unfazed by the unfolding chaos. Dam grabs one of the students, sending him flying across the alley. He plants his foot, demonstrating incredible stability and power. The student skids across the ground, unable to stop his momentum. Taesuk calmly compliments Dam's strength, asking about his routine. Dam furiously lunges at him, shouting that he doesn't have one. Ga-wung grabs a large wooden plank, preparing to re-enter the fight. He swings wildly, but Dam effortlessly blocks and counters the attack. The student immediately surrenders, clutching his side in defeat. Dam looms over the last remaining opponent, his expression unreadable. Later, the group sits together in a quiet part of the school. Dam confirms their goal was to bring back the school's old, brutal system. He taunts them with a threat, and they nervously agree. Dam realizes that while not everyone follows Taesuk, his influence is undeniable. He then poses a question asking why they don't just join him instead. Dahui suggests they all team up with their old boss to take down Taesuk. Dam considers the offer, but remains unconvinced he should trust them. He stands to leave, saying he needs to think about their proposal. The two are left behind, baffled by his unpredictable behavior. Dam walks away with a new weapon, his true intentions a mystery. The next day, the school stands under a clear blue sky. Inside the classroom, a teacher lectures at the chalkboard. A student turns around, his eyes wide with a strange expression. The rest of the class looks back in stunned silence. Dam sits at his desk, diligently focused on his studies. His classmates whisper, wondering if Taesuk's therapy actually worked. Si-hwan watches from a distance, pleased that Dam has decided to study. He observes the new student, who is now completely absorbed in his work. Dam continues to write, his expression one of intense concentration. But as Si-hwan watches, Dam has already fallen asleep at his desk. The hands of the clock spin, showing that hours have passed. Dam suddenly jolts awake, a look of pure shock on his face. He asks what the next class is, only to learn it's already lunchtime. Rubbing his head, he complains that studying is incredibly difficult. He declares his hard work has made him hungry and invites Si-hwan to eat. From a distance, Taesuk watches them leave, his expression unreadable. In the cafeteria, Dam asks Si-hwan an unexpected question. Can you teach me how to study? Si-hwan hesitates, admitting he's never taught anyone and his grades aren't great. Dam dismisses his concerns, claiming he can tell Si-hwan is smart just by looking at him. As Si-hwan stammers, Dam playfully accuses him of being petty. He then lightly flicks a spoon, which connects with Si-hwan's forehead. Just then, a group of tough-looking students approaches their table. One of them turns to Dam, greeting the new transfer student. The leader questions why Dam is hanging out with Si-hwan instead of them. Si-hwan nervously whispers that they're the former leader's closest associates. Dam simply looks at them with a knowing expression. He completely ignores their presence, telling Si-hwan to just eat. The bullies are furious, questioning if he's really ignoring them. One of them picks up a milk carton, warning that people should answer when spoken to. The carton flies through the air, bursting on top of Dam's head. Si-hwan stares in horror as milk drips down Dam's face. The bullies glare, waiting for the inevitable confrontation. Dam slowly picks up the crushed carton from the floor. To everyone's shock, he pours the remaining milk onto his own lunch tray. With a deadpan expression, he announces his new dish, risotto. He takes a bite, leaving the bullies completely speechless. The tough students can only stare, baffled by his bizarre reaction. Their confusion quickly turns to rage at his persistent defiance. Dam suddenly erupts in a fit of wild laughter. A new student approaches, finding Dam just as interesting as the rumors claimed. He tells his angry companions to sit down, questioning their pointless aggression. Dam watches in annoyance as Si Hwan explains the school's power dynamics. In the past, the former leader Jo Yohan decided the rankings with his strength. Even after Taesok's arrival, the top 7 fighters remained a powerful force. Si Hwan identifies the short-haired student as Lee Jong-jin, ranked 7th. The long-haired one is Park Hwa-soo, who holds the 5th place spot. The bully from before tells Hwa-soo to step aside, claiming he has business with Dam. Hwa-soo's expression darkens, offended by the sudden demand. In a flash of movement, he delivers a powerful blow to the disrespectful student. Dam watches the sudden turn of events, admitting it's pretty intense. Hwa-soo stands over his fallen classmate, furious at the blatant disrespect. He raises his fist again, still fuming over the lunchtime confrontation. Jung-jin quickly intervenes, warning his friend to stop before he gets caught. Hwa-soo slams the metal tray to the ground in a final burst of anger. Deciding the situation is no longer fun, he tells his friend it's time to go. As he leaves, Hwa-soo tells Dam he's looking forward to his next move. The defeated bullies decide to leave and clean themselves up. One of them warns Dam that he won't be so lucky next time. He then turns his furious gaze to Si Hwan, delivering a final chilling threat. Dam sarcastically comments on the heartwarming way students say goodbye. He turns to Si Hwan with a curious expression. Dam asks his new friend to tell him about the guy who threw the milk. Si Hwan nervously explains he's Ju Hyung-min, ranked 8th and Yohan's right-hand man. Dam easily guesses that Hyung-min is famous for bullying weaker kids. He then realizes they were the ones who sent Si Hwan to the infirmary. Dam figures they now target others since they can't control Taesok. He wonders what their leader, Jo Yohan, is doing while his crew runs wild. Si Hwan reveals that Yohan is currently suspended from school. Dam is baffled, questioning why a school that ignores fighting would suspend anyone. Si Hwan warns that the former leader's suspension is ending soon. Dam realizes the bully will only get worse if left unchecked. He suddenly declares he'll teach the guy a proper lesson himself. Si Hwan is shocked, but Dam reminds him they were both victims of the milk attack. In return for his help, Dam demands that Si Hwan teach him how to study. Dam reveals he knows Si Hwan used to be a top-ranked student. Si Hwan realizes Dam took the hit on purpose just to make this deal. With a confident grin, Dam asks if they can start their proper education. Elsewhere, the bullies fume over their earlier humiliation. They wish their leader, Jo Yohan, was there to put everyone in their place. One suggests they should take Dam down for trying to follow Taesok's rules, but another student warns that it's not going to be that easy. He reminds them that many have already tried and failed to defeat the new transfer. Their leader worries that if Dam joins Taesok, they'll become a real problem. For now, he decides they should leave Dam alone and focus on their own tasks. With a sinister grin, he suggests they continue their usual activities, but with more intensity. Back in the classroom, Si Hwan asks Dam why he really wants to be number 1. Dam grabs him, annoyed by the sudden change of topic. Si Hwan insists he needs to know before he can agree to help him study. A flashback shows Dam furiously yelling at his uncle over the phone. His uncle is confused, thinking the goal was to become the school's fighting boss. The uncle reminds Dam of the real reason he was sent to this school. Dam looks away, knowing his uncle can sense his hesitation. His uncle sternly tells him to get a grip and take responsibility for his actions. The flashback ends with Dam sitting alone, staring at his school uniform. Back in the present, Dam explains that his original goal has changed. He tells Si Hwan his new start immediately landed him in massive debt. Dam casually reveals the debt is 50 million won, shocking his new friend. He explains that becoming number 1 is the only way to pay it all back. When asked what comes next, Dam's expression turns deadly serious. Si Hwan waits for an answer, but Dam's expression remains unreadable. He erupts, accusing Dam of having no real plan for the future. Dam casually admits he's not interested in getting a job either. Si Hwan realizes Dam's goal is simply to be at the top, regardless of the prize. Dam confirms that Si Hwan will be his tutor, sealing their deal. With a sly grin, he asks for one more favor before they begin. He explains that in their messed-up school, there's an unwritten rule. The rule is simple. The boss's word is absolute law. Dam dismisses this as normal, asking what Si Hwan wants him to do. Si Hwan's request is shocking. Become the boss and abolish the school's system. Dam refuses, but Si Hwan insists he'll have the power to negotiate. He explains that's how the former leader Jo Yohan reigned over the school. Dam argues that he should just ask Taesok to do it instead. But Si Hwan is skeptical of Tae-sok, believing he has his own reasons for keeping the system. He tells Dam that since he doesn't want a job, he should do something no one else can. Dam agrees with a laugh, flicking a spoon at his new friend. Si Hwan promises to teach him, but asks why he wants to erase the system. Dam admits it's not his problem, but the current situation is better for the students. He clarifies that it's a chance for them to truly change. Society already views them all as social misfits and delinquents. Si Hwan adds that the job system is built on the belief that they're all failures. Dam questions why they have to live by those rules, believing they can change their fate. Si Hwan's eyes light up, realizing Dam wants to unlock everyone's true potential. Dam declares he'll give them all a chance to live differently from their past. Later, Dam stands alone on a bridge, contemplating his new mission. He leans against the railing, lost in his own thoughts. His attention is caught by a conversation from some nearby students. They mock a member of their group for acting more important than he is. Dam gives the gossiping students a slight, annoyed glance. They suddenly notice his uniform, wondering what a student from hard school is doing there. The bullied student drags his friends away, telling them to ignore Dam. Dam turns, confused by their sudden departure. His eyes land on a father and his happy child walking by. A memory seems to flicker behind his intense gaze. The child's innocent laughter echoes in the evening air. A dark flashback reveals a terrified young boy in a desperate situation. The boy stands alone before a group of imposing figures, asking for a chance. Their leader stares down as the boy pleads for a chance to live. He declares his desire to live a life different from his past. Back in the present, Dam's resolve hardens as he watches the others. Later that night, he arrives back at his rundown residence. He parks his motorcycle, a modified bat resting on the ground. Dam sighs, dreading having to study on his delivery day. As he walks toward the entrance, a familiar figure stops him. It's the girl in the purple tracksuit holding a lighter. He immediately recognizes her from their first encounter. They stand in a tense silence under the dim light. She calls out to him, and he turns back with a questioning look. The girl asks if they've seen each other before. Dam says nothing, simply turning to head inside. She suddenly tells him to stop, then apologizes for her mistake. He pauses, confused by her strange comment. With a determined look, Dam tells her to follow him. A sudden bright flame ignites in the darkness. Inside the kitchen, Dam offers her the lit object, asking if she needed a light. She panics, realizing the smell will fill the entire room. The landlady bursts in, furious about the strange odor. The terrified girl immediately points the finger at Dam. He smoothly takes the lighter from her hand, feigning disgust at the smell. The girl stares in disbelief as the landlady scolds her, completely fooled by Dam's act. The girl erupts in fury, questioning what kind of person frames someone like that. The next day, the sun shines brightly over Gangbuk High. Inside, a silver-haired student scans the classroom. A long-haired student, who looks just like Dam, declares it's a perfect day for studying. He calls out for his friend Simon, but stops when he finds him missing. Looking at an empty desk, he wonders where his friend could be. He turns to a nearby student, preparing to ask a question. The bowl-cut student is surprised when the newcomer asks if he's the transfer student. The doppelganger grabs the boy, mistaking him for Si Hwan without his glasses. The terrified student explains that Si Hwan has been admitted to the hospital. The newcomer's expression darkens at the shocking news. Si Hwan's friend explains they were supposed to meet after school yesterday. But instead, he found Ju Hyung-min and his crew attacking Si Hwan. He admits Si Hwan didn't want him to say anything, but he couldn't stay silent. The scene shifts to a large, imposing hospital building. Inside, a bandaged Si Hwan lies in a hospital bed, looking dazed. Dam suddenly appears at his bedside, asking how he's doing. He casually explains he skipped school and rode his motorcycle to visit. Si Hwan nervously insists he just fell down the stairs. As he tries to downplay his injuries, Dam tells him to calm down. Dam reveals he knows the truth, asking if Hyung-min threatened him. Si Hwan apologizes, saying he can't keep his promise to teach him now. Dam sighs in frustration, asking why his friend is the one apologizing. He notes that while everyone talks about studying, a huge mess is unfolding. Si Hwan nervously suggests that Tae-sok wouldn't care about this. Dam asks if he still believes the school can be fixed by just changing the system. He questions if someone like Ju Hyung-min is even capable of changing. Dam tells him to get a grip, saying those guys will never care. Si Hwan weakly tells him to go back, but Dam's patience has run out. Dam explodes in frustration, demanding to know why Si Hwan isn't angry. Si Hwan cries out in his hospital bed, filled with resentment for his attackers. He laments that he just wanted to go to school normally, questioning why this is happening. The more he thinks about it, the angrier he becomes. But he tearfully admits that his anger doesn't change anything. Dam listens as Si-hwan refuses to make the same choices as his bullies. He clenches his fist, declaring that surrendering his spirit would be like losing twice. Dam suddenly starts to chuckle, confusing his injured friend. He erupts in laughter, calling Si-hwan incredibly pure. Si-hwan tells him not to laugh, but Dam says he laughed because he liked his attitude. Dam comments on his friend's impressive tenacity, even in this state. He then tells Si-hwan that sometimes you can't just endure injustice. Standing up, Dam tells him to call on him when he gets angry. He declares that it's not foolish to resist, it's the obvious thing to do. As Dam walks away, Si-hwan nervously asks what he's going to do. Dam's answer is simple and chilling. Clean up trash. He clarifies that he's just annoyed his studies were interrupted and will repay the favor. Si-hwan calls out as the door slams shut behind Dam. He's left alone in the room, completely stunned by Dam's words. The scene shifts back to the imposing school building. Inside classroom 3-5, a student's desperate pleas echo in the hall. A boy screams in agony as his hand is twisted by bullies. Hyungmin's crew mocks their victim, comparing his reaction to Si-hwan's. They laugh, correcting the angle of the boy's hand to make it more accurate. One of them notices Da-hwi's grim expression, asking if he feels guilty. Da-hwi warns them to stop being so careless, certain that Dam will retaliate. Another bully scoffs, saying Dam has no idea Si-hwan is even in the hospital. Hyungmin boasts that he threatened Si-hwan into complete silence. His cronies agree, saying they'll just deal with Dam if he finds out. Da-hwi questions if they're prepared to face him if he already knows. One of the bullies arrogantly claims he can handle Dam by himself. Hyungmin questions his crew's sudden terrified expressions. A dark, menacing figure appears right behind him. His friend tries to warn him, but Hyungmin is completely oblivious. A hand suddenly clamps down over his face. Dam slams his head into a desk, shattering the wood. The other bullies stare in disbelief as Hyungmin glares in fury. One of the cronies angrily asks Dam how he dares to interrupt. Dam's eyes burn with rage, warning them they picked the wrong guy. He cracks his knuckles, ready to deliver a serious lesson. Hyungmin laughs, mocking Dam's empty threat. He taunts the transfer student, saying he should have stayed quiet. Dam looks on, confused by the sudden change in attitude. Hyungmin reveals Dam has walked right into the tiger's den. The entire class is filled with Hyungmin's crew surrounding Dam. With a furious roar, Hyungmin orders his gang to attack. Dam immediately silences the first attacker with a swift blow. Another student charges forward, questioning if Dam thinks they're easy targets. Dam effortlessly blocks the incoming punch. The bully's face contorts in pain from the impact. Dam uses the student as a shield, shoving him into the oncoming mob. He stands calmly, unimpressed by the chaotic scene. The group of bullies descends on their own friend by mistake. Hyungmin stares in confusion at his crew's incompetence. Suddenly, Dam is sent flying by a powerful kick. He lands with a wild grin, clearly enjoying the fight. The bullies are stunned by his bizarre reaction. The entire mob rushes forward to attack him at once. Dam spits a small object like a projectile. The object hits one of the students squarely in the face. Dam follows up with a powerful, decisive punch. The onlookers realize Dam is fighting with even more intensity than before. Another one of Hyungmin's crew falls to the ground, completely defeated. Hyungmin can't believe Dam is handling more than 10 people at once. He notices other high-ranking students watching from the doorway. The long-haired student finds the situation incredibly entertaining. He asks his companion if he's going to step in and stop the fight. A new student, Lim Gukyun, appears, unimpressed by the spectacle. He admits that he's heard some interesting rumors about the transfer student. Gukyun wants to see Dam's legendary skills with his own eyes. Inside the classroom, Dam is a whirlwind of motion against the mob. He effortlessly dodges and weaves through the flurry of attacks. A bully's punches stop just inches from his face. Dam redirects the blow, making the student hit his own friend. He grabs a handful of another opponent's hair, pulling him close. His grip tightens, preparing for his next move. With a terrifying grin, he invites the student to come closer. He delivers a powerful headbutt, sending a shockwave through the room. The student stumbles back, completely dazed by the sudden impact. Daehui grabs Dam from behind, shouting that this is his revenge. Another bully cheers him on, telling him to hold Dam still. But Dam breaks free with a swift, powerful kick. Daehui glares in fury as Dam prepares to counter. Dam unleashes a devastating strike, sending his opponent flying. The bully's face contorts in disbelief at the unexpected outcome. Another student charges in, but Dam is already moving. He lands a heavy blow, knocking the student aside with ease. Dam casually greets the student he used as a shield earlier. He grabs the boy's metal cup, saying he'll borrow it for a moment. Hyungmin charges forward, vowing this time will be different. Dam smashes the cup over his head, shouting a new nickname, Big Head. Hyungmin's face contorts in pain from the heavy blow. With a wild grin, Dam dares the rest of the mob to challenge him. He continues his relentless assault, forcing Hyung-min to order a retreat. One of the bullies suddenly pulls out a sharp object. Dam's expression shifts, surprised by the sudden escalation. The student lunges forward, swinging the weapon wildly. He furiously demands to know if Dam understands who he's facing. The attacker proudly declares he's Jo Yohan's right-hand man. Dam's hand shoots out, stopping the attack mid-swing. He glares at the bully, questioning his decision to use a weapon. The student's confidence shatters, replaced by pure shock. With a swift motion, Dam easily disarms his opponent. He brings the metal cup down with devastating force. The bully is sent flying backwards from the powerful impact. His face is a mask of agony as he crashes to the ground. The remaining members of the crew watch in stunned silence. Even the high-ranking students in the doorway are taken aback. Hyung-min lies on the floor, completely defeated and groaning. Dam pins the armed bully's hand to the ground with his foot. He looms over the fallen student, noting that even hyenas have limits. With a chilling declaration, Dam says the bully will be left-handed from now on. He raises the metal cup, preparing to deliver a final decisive blow. A calm voice suddenly tells him that's enough. Lim Guk-hyun steps forward, asking if Dam plans to permanently injure the bully. A caption reveals the newcomer is the school's third-ranked fighter. The scene briefly cuts to a man in an apron holding a delivery. A young man wearing a visor glares with intense focus. Guk-hyun again demands that Dam stop his assault. He looks directly at Dam, identifying him as the new transfer student. Dam looks up as Guk-hyun admits his methods are too extreme. The long-haired student angrily tells the onlookers to leave, annoyed he has to intervene. Dam questions the newcomer's authority, asking if he's a student or a cop. The student calmly introduces himself as Lim Guk-hyun from Class 3. Guk-hyun comments on Dam's wild reputation as he stands over his defeated opponent. The bully on the ground groans while Dam looks up in surprise. Guk-hyun suddenly grabs Dam's collar, demanding to know what he's doing. Dam calmly explains he's just cleaning up the mess their leader ignored. A flashback shows Si-hwan questioning the system that allows bullies to thrive. Dam declares he'll clean up the school himself and become the new leader. Guk-hyun scoffs at his plan, but Dam insists he'll just keep removing the trash. He tells Dam to study like everyone else if he wants to follow Tae-seok. Dam denies following anyone, brushing back his hair with a determined look. He then makes a shocking declaration. He'll get rid of the employment system. The other high-ranking students are stunned by his bold statement. One of them comments that studying isn't for tough guys like them anyway. Guk-hyun challenges the others to either leave or face him directly. Dam calmly tells Guk-hyun he's made a serious miscalculation. Guk-hyun reveals that not even half the school actually follows Tae-seok's rules. He warns Dam that changing the school isn't as simple as it looks. Dam listens as Guk-hyun explains the school is currently in a cold war. He clarifies that the system exists because students still need a future. To abolish the rule, Guk-hyun explains, most of the students have to agree. He gestures to the defeated bullies, making his point clear. The long-haired student looks away, completely fed up with the lecture. Guk-hyun lets out a weary sigh, tired of the whole situation. He issues a challenge. Defeat everyone from rank 7 to 3, including him. But there's a catch, it only counts after Dam beats Tae-seok in his studies. Dam clenches his fist, furious at being forced to play by their rules. He stomps his foot, declaring he's not proving himself, he's pulling out weeds. The two glare at each other as Dam dares him to just fight him now. Guk-hyun warns Dam that he's on a completely different level. Dam mockingly tosses the metal cup, ready to test that claim. In a blur of motion, he lunges forward to attack. He offers to give Guk-hyun a demonstration of his power right now. Guk-hyun stands his ground, completely unfazed by the charge. He effortlessly blocks the attack with a single powerful stomp. Dam's hand trembles from the sheer force of the impact. With a swift kick, Guk-hyun proves he's not just making empty threats. Elsewhere, Tae-seok questions another student's thoughts in a quiet classroom. The student replies that intent is irrelevant. Some things are just a given. He states that ranks being decided by tests is simply the natural order. Tae-seok reveals the former leader, Jo Yohan, is returning to school. He warns that Yohan also has a powerful external force backing him. The other student looks away, understanding the gravity of the situation. A classmate adds that you can't force a carnivore to eat a vegetarian meal. The first student suggests they unite for now, or risk being divided. Tae-seok taps his pen, quietly considering the proposal. He looks up, questioning the very idea of uniting. The student asks if Tae-seok really expects him to team up with those guys. Tae-seok claims he's just a spectator, only there to manage the troublemakers. He turns away, noting the employment system is a sensitive topic with many complaints. Tae-seok shoves another student, telling him to be quiet during study time. He grabs the boy's hand, warning him to back off immediately. With a dark expression, Taesuk delivers a chilling final threat. The student immediately surrenders with a comical, terrified look. Taesuk explains that the school is fracturing, and Johan's return will be a disaster. An image of a wolf devouring its prey shows what will happen if they remain divided. The other student asks if that's all Taesuk has to say. He dismisses the conversation, telling Taesuk to leave. Taesuk acknowledges the student's strength, but implies there's more to the story. The student declares that Taesuk is not fit to be a leader. Taesuk challenges him, asking if it's frustrating to just watch. A flashback shows Dam standing over his defeated foes, cleaning up the mess. Dam's vow to become number one echoes in the student's mind. He realizes Dam could become the new leader if he succeeds. Taesuk presses him for a decision, asking what he's going to do. The student considers the proposal with a thoughtful expression. He questions if Taesuk wants him to fight the leader with both fists and books. Sitting on a defeated bully, he asks Taesuk about his true motives. Taesuk explains that not everyone is a beast and his goal is within reach. He mentions a plague, admitting it's a strange but efficient strategy. Another student suggests it's easier to take them down one by one. Taesuk agrees to the plan despite it being a bit bothersome. With a wild grin, the student accepts the deal and rallies the others to take down the leader. The scene shifts to a quiet city street in the evening. The camera focuses on a restaurant named Tyson Pork Backbone Stew. Inside, the restaurant is bustling with customers and activity. A steaming pot of stew is prepared for a waiting table. A cheerful employee takes an order for more rice in the busy kitchen. A familiar-looking server brings the food to a group of customers. The customers comment on how tall and charming their server is. The server is revealed to be Taesuk, working at his family's restaurant. An employee tells Taesuk that a delivery order is ready to go. Taesuk confirms the address and prepares the final items for the driver. He hands the delivery bag to the driver, offering a free drink. Taesuk's friendly expression suddenly freezes in shock. The delivery driver is none other than Dam, looking just as surprised. Dam glares at his rival, confused by the unexpected encounter. The two stand in a tense silence, the delivery bag between them. A split panel shows their mutual shock at meeting outside of school. Dam spits, barely containing his amusement at the situation. He finally erupts in a fit of wild, mocking laughter. Dam taunts Taesuk, asking if the other students know about his secret job. Taesuk sternly tells him to just shut up and go already. With a manic grin, Dam vows to make his rival's work life miserable. He continues to mock Taesuk, confident he'll take first place now. Dam casually asks if Taesuk has met a student named Lim Gukyun. He reveals his plan to fight all the school's top dogs one by one. Dam tells Taesuk to just give up his position, but is told to leave again. A woman suddenly appears, asking if Dam is Taesuk's friend. She introduces herself as Taesuk's mother, leaving Dam completely stunned. She grabs his arm, complimenting him on his handsome looks. The mother asks how her son is doing at school, making Dam incredibly nervous. She recalls his earlier comment and Dam panics, wondering if she heard his threats. She hands him the food, explaining the customer just canceled the order. His mother tells him to take it home, saying delivery work is tough. Taesuk gently interrupts, reminding his mother that Dam needs to leave. Dam awkwardly takes the food and prepares to go. He pauses at the door, a thoughtful expression on his face. With a slight bow, Dam sincerely thanks them for the meal. Taesuk looks on in surprise as his mother smiles warmly. Dam walks out of the restaurant, holding the unexpected gift. He carefully places the bag of food into his delivery box. Dam glances back through the window at the restaurant. He sees Taesuk and his mother sharing a happy, peaceful moment. With a conflicted look, Dam puts on his helmet and turns away. He rides off on his motorcycle, disappearing into the night. The scene shifts to a sign for the rundown residence where Dam lives. The girl in the purple tracksuit sits outside, looking at her phone. She's startled as Dam's motorcycle pulls up, its headlight shining on her. The girl recognizes Dam from yesterday, thinking he looks like a gangster. She decides to avoid him, believing he's nothing but trouble. Dam offers her the bag of food, saying it's too much to eat alone. He sighs, thinking of Sihwan's condition and his own bold claims. As he wonders about buying a study book, he notices the girl running away. He calls out to her on the stairs, causing her to gasp in surprise. She immediately bolts up the stairs, leaving him completely confused. Dam chases after her, demanding to know why she's running from him. She frantically fumbles with her keys, trying to escape into her apartment. His hand slams against the door, and she lets out a terrified scream. Dam asks if she saw a ghost, annoyed by her extreme reaction. Out of breath, she tells him to think about what he did to her yesterday. She angrily confronts him about the lighter incident, but he remains unfazed. He listens silently as she complains about the misunderstanding with the landlady. She reveals she was actually trying to apologize, leaving Dam confused. He offers her the food again, explaining it was meant as a peace offering. She's about to refuse, but her stomach betrays her with a loud growl. Dam waits patiently for her answer, a slight smirk on his face. Blushing, she reluctantly admits that she's a little hungry. Later, she's surprised to learn his name is Wang Dam and they're the same age. She introduces herself as Kang Yena and asks where he goes to school. Dam tells her he attends Pak High, a name she finds very strange. Yena notices his accent, and he confirms he recently transferred from Gimhai. She asks what brought him all the way to Seoul, guessing it was for his studies. He admits studying is part of the reason, then asks how good she is. Yena proudly declares she was the top student at her old school, shocking Dam. As she enjoys the food, Dam's expression shifts as a new plan forms. He looks at her seriously and asks her to teach him how to study. Yena is stunned by the sudden request, but Dam offers to pay for dinner every day. She asks if it's urgent, and he struggles to explain his complicated situation. Dam dismisses her concerns, saying she'll save money on food. He admits the request is strange, but decides for them both, saying, "Let's do it." Dam is surprised by her easy acceptance, but she admits she has no reason to refuse. He looks to confirm, asking if they have a deal. Yena extends her hand, suggesting they shake on their new partnership. Dam hesitates, but she insists it's just a temporary arrangement. She looks away awkwardly as he still seems unsure. Yena changes the subject, asking for more rice, and Dam agrees. The next day, the sun shines over the imposing school building. Si-hwan returns to school, walking cautiously down the hallway. He worries about what might have happened to Dam while he was gone. A hand suddenly lands on his shoulder, stopping him in his tracks. He turns to see Hyung-min's menacing face and lets out a terrified scream. The entire crew surrounds him, and he nervously asks what they want. To his utter shock, the bullies all bow and apologize for everything. Si-hwan is completely baffled, wondering if he's part of a hidden camera prank. Hyung-min, looking battered, tells his crew it's time to leave. Suddenly, a metal cup flies through the air, striking Hyung-min's head. A voice demands to know if that was a proper apology, shocking Si-hwan. Dam appears with a confident smirk, revealing he was behind it all. Later, the scene shifts to the classroom, where everyone is seated. Si-hwan can't believe Dam agreed to fight the top 7 students one by one. Dam casually calls it their way of greeting the school's new leader. In the background, Tae-suk continues to study, seemingly unfazed. Si-hwan asks why he's going so far, but Dam jokes about his injured hands. He reveals he's already found a substitute tutor, leaving Si-hwan confused. Dam declares that if he's going to do something, he'll do it right. Si-hwan's eyes widen, realizing this is all because of the promise Dam made to him. Overcome with emotion, he tells Dam to focus on his own recovery. Dam grabs his friend's face, telling him to stop crying because he needs a favor. Dam asks his friend for all the latest school gossip. He figures he should at least know some basic information about his opponents. Si-hwan panics, warning there's a huge skill gap starting from the 7th rank. He identifies the 7th ranked fighter as Lee Jung-jin from the judo team. A flashback shows Jung-jin single-handedly taking down an entire rival team. The story flashes back to the night of Jung-jin's last judo match. His team celebrates at a restaurant, unaware of the coming storm. The celebration is cut short by a sudden, shocking interruption. A menacing silhouette appears in the doorway, revealing Jung-jin's dark side. His face is a mask of pure fury as he confronts the other team. The restaurant erupts into a scene of complete chaos. The aftermath shows the entire rival team defeated on the floor. The scene is one of total devastation, with bodies scattered everywhere. Si-hwan explains that Jung-jin left them all severely injured by himself. Back in the present, Dam quietly considers this new, dangerous information. He sarcastically declares how scared he is, then asks for Jung-jin's class. With a determined look, Dam immediately stands up to leave. Tae-suk watches him go, noting that the rumors about Dam must be true. Dam walks down the hall, saying he can't delay with so much studying to do. Si-hwan desperately tells him to come up with a plan first. Dam turns around, annoyed by his friend's sudden change of heart. He questions Si-hwan's sudden caution, asking if his earlier praise was just flattery. Dam dismisses his friend's concerns, calling him too talkative. Si-hwan suddenly reveals that Jung-jin isn't even at school. Dam wonders if his next opponent got suspended, but that's not the case. He asks where Jung-jin is, and Si-hwan eagerly offers to show him. Si-hwan proudly presents a notebook detailing the top 7's daily routines. He explains he recorded their schedules, leaving Dam completely baffled. With a new lead, Dam knows exactly where to find his next target. The scene cuts to Jung Jin, sweating and focused during an intense workout. Jung Jin sits exhausted in the judo hall, taking a break from his training. He suddenly winces in pain from a sharp blow. The judo master furiously demands to know why he's not in school. He scolds Jung Jin for skipping class just to work out. The master reveals Jung Jin's father is worried sick about him. Another student intervenes, telling the master to stop hitting him. Jung Jin looks up, telling his master that it's all pointless. He explains that even if he goes to school, he won't be able to get a job. The master is stunned into silence by his student's bleak outlook. Their argument is interrupted by a sudden commotion at the door. Si-hwan desperately clings to Dam's leg, trying to stop him from entering. Dam drags his friend across the floor, telling him to let go. He tells Si-hwan this is a convenient opportunity for them both. Dam explains he needs a witness to spread the word of his victory. He finally pries Si-hwan's hand off his leg with a sharp slap. Dam peeks into the dojo with a terrified Si-hwan right behind him. He spots his target among the other judo students. With a confident grin, Dam confirms that Jung Jin is exactly where he expected. Jung Jin looks up, sensing the new arrival's presence. Dam enters, casually commenting on the noise they made outside. The other judo students confront him, asking if he's there to sign up. As Si-hwan panics, Dam scoffs at their assumption. He loudly declares he's here to challenge the entire dojo. The students are furious at the disrespectful challenge from just 2 people. One of them grabs Si-hwan, mistakenly thinking he's the fighter. Dam casually tells Si-hwan to take care of the other guys, much to his horror. He ignores the others and calls out directly to Lee Jung-jin. Dam approaches his opponent, ready to get their fight over with quickly. Jung-jin glares at the intruder, coldly telling him to get out. Dam questions why he should leave when they're going to fight anyway. The judo master confronts Dam, asking why he's causing a commotion. Dam cheekily claims he's from the school's student disciplinary committee. He explains he's there to discipline Jung Jin for skipping school, much to Si-hwan's disbelief. The master asks if it's true, and Dam confidently confirms his story. Dam scolds Jung Jin for skipping school when he should be studying for a job. He then asks how Jung Jin can show his face at the dojo after that incident. Dam accuses him of acting innocent after the restaurant brawl. Jung Jin erupts in fury, shouting at Dam for speaking out of turn. The master steps in front of his student, looking at Dam with a thoughtful expression. He notices the scars on Dam's neck, questioning if he's just a normal high schooler. The master is impressed by Dam's physique, realizing he's no ordinary kid. With a serious look, he decides to allow the confrontation. The master declares that they should just fight it out right there in the dojo. Jung Jin protests, but his master insists it's better than fighting on the streets. As Jung Jin argues, the master simply looks back at him with a stern gaze. Dam casually asks whose dojo it is, reminding Jung Jin of his place. The master blames Jung Jin's fighting for getting him into this mess. He tells his student to take responsibility and end things before they get worse. Dam praises the master's wisdom, but says he can't use the dojo for free. The master strokes his chin, admitting he doesn't expect Dam to succeed anyway. He makes a shocking proposal. If Dam loses, he must join the dojo. The master passionately offers free membership if Dam agrees to become their athlete. He gets in Dam's face, eagerly asking if they have a deal. Dam shouts back with equal intensity, accepting the challenge. The other students question why their master would want a punk like Dam. The master decides to add one more condition to their arrangement. Dam counters with his own term. If he wins, Jung Jin is banned from the dojo. He argues it's a problem to let Jung Jin keep training after his violent incident. The master reluctantly agrees, seeing the logic in Dam's words. Jung Jin looks on in silence, knowing Dam has a point. The master says they can't keep watching Jung Jin waste his life away. Dam impatiently asks if his opponent is going to fight or not. With a determined glare, Jung Jin declares that he'll fight. Dam scoffs, telling him to stop worrying since he has no chance of winning. He questions if Jung Jin really believes he can win this fight. The master reminds Dam that Jung Jin is a trained athlete. He adds that no other athlete has ever managed to defeat him. Dam admits that despite the incident, his opponent's skills are undeniable. Si-hwan nervously notes that Jung Jin is strong enough to question his rank. He remembers how Jung Jin defeated an entire team of athletes by himself. Inside the dojo, the master begins to explain the rules of the match. He states they'll use open finger gloves and follow MMA rules. The master makes it clear this is a formal match, not a street fight. He also declares he will stop the fight if things get too dangerous. A senior student stands between them, asking if they're both ready. Dam calls out to his opponent, mockingly calling him Mr. Athlete. He tells Jung Jin not to hold back, just like with the other guys. Dam wants the fight to be decisive so the school will acknowledge his victory. The referee confirms they're ready and prepares to start the match. The moment the fight begins, Dam lands a powerful first strike. Si-Hwan and the other students watch in complete shock. Jongjin's eyes widen in disbelief from the sudden, heavy blow. The master and another student are stunned by Dam's opening move. Even the referee is caught off guard by the immediate intensity. Jongjin quickly counters with a powerful kick of his own. The impact sends Dam stumbling backwards across the mat. Jongjin's expression is one of pure, focused rage. Dam follows up with a swift, jumping kick, aiming for his opponent. Jongjin recovers, looking surprised by Dam's relentless attack. Dam wonders if Jongjin is really an athlete, as he doesn't seem like one. The referee furiously reminds Dam that certain moves are against the rules. Dam questions his authority, and the referee angrily declares his role. The master watches, impressed by Dam's unexpected defiance. The referee wonders if all students from that school are this wild. Jongjin calmly tells his friend to let the fight continue. With a determined look, Jongjin prepares for the next round. He tells the concerned referee to let them handle it. The master agrees, saying it's fine as long as Jongjin is willing. He decides to let the boys settle things their own way. Dam smirks, telling the referee not to interrupt the flow. The fight resumes with a sudden, powerful motion. Dam shouts, ready to end the match quickly. He lands a heavy blow, catching Jongjin off guard. The two exchange a rapid flurry of decisive strikes. The impact of their clash echoes through the dojo. Jongjin stumbles back, stunned by the force of the attack. Dam follows up with another powerful strike to the face. The blow sends Jongjin reeling backwards from the impact. Dam's fist flies forward with incredible speed and power. Jongjin manages to raise his arm, attempting to block. But Dam's attack still connects, breaking through his guard. The force of the blow is shown in a close-up shot. Dam delivers a powerful knee strike to his opponent's midsection. Jongjin gasps, his face contorted from the heavy impact. He's sent stumbling backwards across the mat. Jongjin falls to the ground, struggling to recover. Dam taunts his fallen opponent, asking why he's just sitting there. He prepares to deliver another decisive kick. The referee screams in horror at Dam's repeated use of the move. Jongjin looks up, cornered and sweating under the pressure. Dam feigns a kick, taunting his downed opponent. He declares he's not just some street punk as he lands a heavy blow. With a furious expression, he asks if Jongjin really fell for his trick. Jongjin cries out, reeling from the powerful impact. Si-Hwan watches in disbelief, shocked by the one-sided fight. He realizes Dam is even stronger than he imagined. The master wonders what kind of life Dam has lived to fight like this. Jongjin grits his teeth, trying to endure the relentless assault. Dam continues to press his advantage on the mat. He pins his opponent, preparing for his next move. Jongjin glares back, refusing to be defeated. He suddenly counters with a powerful kick, catching Dam off guard. The unexpected blow sends Dam stumbling backwards. Dam looks up, a surprised but intrigued expression on his face. He comments that Jongjin is still live and kicking. Jongjin glares back, his determination unwavering despite his injuries. Dam acknowledges his opponent's impressive stamina, but he mockingly adds that something is still missing. Jongjin remains silent, watching his opponent's every move. With a confident smirk, Dam says it doesn't matter anyway. He lunges forward, declaring the fight will be over soon. Jongjin raises his arm, preparing to block the incoming attack. Their fists collide in a powerful, decisive exchange. Dam's expression is one of pure, focused intensity. The two trade a rapid flurry of heavy blows. A final, devastating punch connects squarely with Jongjin's face. The master observes that Dam doesn't seem to have formal training. He speculates that Dam is a natural brawler, possibly skilled with weapons. The master wonders what his student will do against such an opponent. He warns Jongjin that he'll lose if the fight continues this way. Jongjin suddenly grabs Dam's shirt, using his judo training. His expression hardens as he prepares to turn the tables. The two fighters are locked in a fierce struggle on the mat. Dam counters with a sudden, unexpected headbutt. Jongjin cries out, stunned by the brutal move. With a wild grin, Dam tells him he should just quit judo. He lands a powerful uppercut, telling his opponent to focus on studying. In a flash of movement, Jongjin executes a perfect throw. The judo athlete's eyes gleam with renewed focus. He quickly pins Dam to the ground, taking control of the fight. The onlookers gasp, shocked by the sudden reversal. Jongjin grits his teeth, applying pressure to the hold. But Dam manages to land a clean punch, even from his disadvantaged position. The master flinches, feeling the impact of the blow from afar. Si-Hwan watches in confusion, unsure what he just witnessed. Dam looks up at his opponent, completely unfazed. A smirk spreads across his face as he figures something out. He taunts Jongjin, questioning if he even knows judo. Dam mockingly says he doesn't think so. The master realizes Jongjin is deliberately holding back his skills. The story flashes back to a year ago at their high school. Students fill the busy hallway between classes. A younger Jung Jin is called out to by a female classmate. She shyly offers him a neatly wrapped gift box. A group of girls surrounds him, giving him cookies for his upcoming match. Jung Jin beams, happily thanking them for their support. Other boys watch with envy, lamenting the unfairness of life. One of the girls asks if he wants to hang out with them on the weekend. He pauses, considering her unexpected invitation. Jung Jin politely declines, saying he needs to prepare for his match. The girls admire his strict self-management as he walks away. Other students complain that he's no fun and only ever trains. But one of the girls thinks his dedication is actually pretty cool. She finds it admirable that he has a clear goal to work towards. The scene shifts to the Buksan Judo Dojo. Inside, his teammates are happily eating the cookies he was given. The master asks why Jung Jin isn't eating the sweets himself. He then tells Jung Jin not to overwork himself before the match. The master teases him, asking if he still gets nervous before a competition. He tells his student to stop messing around and focus on his condition. He also reminds Jung Jin to look after his father. Later that night, the scene shifts to a quiet apartment building. Inside, Jung Jin is fast asleep in his bed. He suddenly wakes up, sensing a presence in the room. He finds his father sitting silently by the front door. His father turns around, surprised to see him awake. Jung Jin asks if he woke him, but his father says he was already up. His father tells him to get some rest for his upcoming competition. Jung Jin watches his father with a complicated expression. He thinks about how his father has always seemed distant and reserved. He remembers the hard times after his father's business failed. He recalls the day his mother left them without saying a word. Jung Jin reflects that his father always seemed to be hiding his true feelings. The scene flashes back to him scoring a point in a judo match. He remembers that judo was the only path he ever enjoyed. An old photo reveals his father was also a judo athlete in his youth. Jung Jin realizes his father was worried he would turn out just like him. He holds his uniform, thinking his father only ever showed him his back. But he understood it was his father's way of silently supporting him. Jung Jin was determined to repay his father's quiet, tireless work. He remembers the night of the incident, his face a mask of pure shock. In the aftermath, he stood alone amidst the defeated rival team. He stared at his own hands, unable to comprehend what he'd done. A promise he made to himself was shattered in an instant. The rival team's leader had stared at him with pure hatred. He furiously confronted Jung Jin over a seemingly small issue. The leader screamed, showing the devastating result of their fight. Back in the present, Dam accuses him of using his father as an excuse. Dam continues his verbal assault, pressing on Jung Jin's guilt. He questions why Jung Jin still clings to the dojo if he's given up. Dam mockingly asks if he's just putting on a show for everyone. The taunts manifest as a shadowy beast, lunging at Jung Jin's mind. Snapping under the pressure, Jung Jin lands a powerful counter. With a determined grin, he denies Dam's accusations. He screams that this isn't a show as he unleashes another strike. Dam is taken aback by his opponent's sudden burst of spirit. Dam's taunts echo, reminding Jung Jin of the people he hurt. The master's voice cuts through the chaos, telling him to snap out of it. Jung Jin's eyes widen as he returns to the present moment. But Dam is already there, landing a decisive blow. The impact sends Jung Jin crashing to the mat, defeated. Dam wipes his brow, admitting his opponent was tougher than expected. He turns to leave, declaring the fight is clearly over. Jung Jin lies motionless on the floor, the match seemingly finished. Dam coldly dismisses him as someone who has failed his family. He tells Siwon it's time to go, leaving his defeated foe behind. But a voice suddenly calls out, telling them to wait. The judo master stands in their way, his expression stern. He declares that the fight isn't over yet. Dam turns back, annoyed, as Jung Jin slowly rises to his feet. Jung Jin erupts in fury, shouting that Dam doesn't know anything about him. Dam coldly calls him a thug who doesn't understand dreams or responsibilities. The words dream and responsibilities leave Jung Jin completely stunned. Dam calls him a loser, accusing him of running away from his problems. He sarcastically adds that he feels sorry for Jung Jin's parents. With a furious glare, Jung Jin decides to see the fight to the very end. A powerful impact shakes the floor of the dojo. Dam looks annoyed, ready to put an end to the drawn-out fight. He lunges forward, declaring it's time to finish this now. Dam asks if Jung Jin was expecting more just because he's an athlete. He clenches his fist, preparing to show his opponent true power. In a blur of motion, Dam executes a perfect judo throw. He looks down at his opponent, warning him not to regret this. A caption explains the philosophy of martial arts as a way to train body and mind. Another caption reveals judo's origins are rooted in the simple will to survive. Jung Jin's eyes glow with a primal, focused intensity. He felt his life was in danger, awakening a dormant instinct. The faces of his master and father flash through his mind. The pressure shattered his self-imposed limits, turning his fear into pure rage. Jung-jin lets out a weary, almost defeated laugh. Dam looks up from the mat, a strange grin on his face. He suddenly screams out, clutching his side in apparent agony. Si-hwan watches in complete silence, baffled by the sudden turn of events. The master notes that Jung-jin hasn't trained in judo for over a year, yet the form he just displayed was absolutely perfect. He realizes his student never truly gave up on his dream. Dam finally acknowledges his opponent as a true judoka. Jung-jin stares back, confused by Dam's sudden change in attitude. Dam dismisses the move, saying it wasn't a skill to be used on a thug like him. He taunts his opponent for finally showing he's worth fighting. Jung-jin is stunned as Dam asks if this test isn't for him to prove himself. Dam questions if his opponent is looking down on him, saying he's not there to play. The master furiously shouts Jung-jin's name as Dam calls him cocky. He demands to know if his student will continue to hold back. The master reveals Dam's condition. If Jung-jin loses, he must quit judo forever. Jung-jin is left speechless by the high stakes of their fight. The other students wonder why he's still hung up on the past. With a determined grin, the master tells him to let it all out like he used to. He adds that this could very well be his last chance. Jung-jin remains silent, sweat dripping down his face. Dam stretches his neck, calling out to his opponent. With a hardened expression, Jung-jin declares this won't be his last fight. He vows to come at Dam without holding a single thing back. Dam smirks, saying that's what he wanted from the very beginning. He stomps his foot on the mat, ready to restart the match. The two fighters immediately rush towards each other. Their fists collide in a powerful, explosive exchange. Jung-jin executes a perfect throw, slamming Dam onto the mat. The other judo students shout in amazement at the incredible move. Dam grits his teeth, caught completely off guard by the reversal. Jung-jin looms over him, noting the situation feels strangely familiar. A powerful strike connects squarely with Dam's face. Jung-jin unleashes a flurry of heavy, decisive blows. Si-hwan senses a completely different aura from the judo athlete. He remembers Jung-jin earned his rank without even using his specialty. Si-hwan realizes it's now impossible to predict the winner. Dam struggles under the relentless, powerful assault. He screams in frustration, trying to push his opponent away. Jung-jin's eyes are filled with a cold, unwavering focus. Dam lands a desperate counter, striking his opponent's chest and face. A judo student shouts in disbelief, accusing Dam of cheating again. Dam lands a heavy blow, yelling that he's just giving it his all. The close-up shot emphasizes the sheer force of the impact. Jung-jin quickly flips Dam, trying to regain control on the mat. The two fighters are locked in a fierce, desperate struggle. Jung-jin skillfully maneuvers to apply a submission hold. The other students cheer him on, shouting for him to finish with an armbar. But Dam clasps his hands together, refusing to let his opponent succeed. He strains against the hold, his face contorted with immense effort. The onlookers shout encouragement, urging Jung-jin to push a little harder. Dam glares from the mat, complaining that their cheering is too distracting. He calls out to Si-hwan, asking if he wants his arm to end up like his. Si-hwan is stunned into silence, remembering Dam's promise to him. The other judo students grab him, telling the useless punk to be quiet. With a determined glare, Dam prepares to turn the tables. He breaks free from the hold with a sudden explosive burst of strength. In a flash of movement, Dam completely reverses their positions. His face is a mask of pure, focused intensity as he presses his advantage. Jung-jin looks up, shocked by his opponent's incredible power. Dam twists his opponent's arm, applying his own painful hold. A close-up shows the devastating impact of Dam's counter. He slams Jung-jin back onto the mat with a powerful throw. Si-hwan and the others can only watch in stunned silence. Dam lands on the mat, his hand raised as if signaling the end. Jung-jin sees a momentary opening and refuses to give up. With a determined grit of his teeth, Dam prepares for the final exchange. He lands another heavy blow, vowing not to let the fight continue. The master watches as Jung-jin thinks of the people he cares about. An image of his father's back flashes through his mind. With renewed resolve, he focuses on his own future and dreams. With a furious glare, Jung-jin refuses to accept defeat. He pushes himself up, vowing not to let anyone down again. With a final burst of strength, he rises from the mat. Jung-jin grits his teeth, channeling all his remaining energy. He lunges forward, his eyes wide with pure determination. The two fighters exchange another rapid flurry of strikes. Dam's eyes widen as a fist flies towards his face. He questions if his opponent fell for the same trick twice. Jung-jin looks up in dawning horror, realizing his mistake. Dam stands over him, his expression cold and serious. The master and the other students watch in stunned silence. An image of his father's back flashes through Jung-jin's mind. He remembers his desire for just one more chance to make things right. The memory of his father's silent support fades into darkness. Back in the present, Jong-jin roars that he won't let it end like this. He suddenly grabs Dam's arm with a powerful, desperate grip. Si-hwan shouts in disbelief, shocked by his remaining strength. Jong-jin executes a perfect shoulder throw, a fundamental judo move. But Dam smirks, revealing he knew his opponent would go for the grab. He stomps his foot, preparing an unexpected counter. Dam throws himself forward, twisting his body in midair. A senior student realizes Dam anticipated the move all along. Si-hwan explains he threw himself forward to disrupt Jong-jin's balance. The counter works perfectly, sending both fighters to the mat. Jong-jin looks up, realizing he just lost his final opportunity. He grits his teeth, refusing to let the fight end this way. Dam's voiceover states that sometimes it's simply too late. He tells Jong-jin he already had the chance to fix his mistakes. Dam reflects that those chances may have been there all along. With a final devastating blow, he tells his opponent to think about it. The flashback shows Jong-jin dominating a match, pinning his opponent. The crowd, including his master, cheers wildly for their undefeated champion. Other athletes watch, acknowledging his reputation as the sophomore ace. One of them notes that his friend will have to face Jong-jin soon. Jong-jin scoffs at his coach's concern, confident in his own victory. A group of senior athletes from another school approaches him with a strange offer. Their leader suggests it's time for Jong-jin to learn what it's like to lose. The scene shifts to a quiet area outside the dojo. Jong-jin is on the ground, having been pushed down by the senior. The senior mocks him for being stubborn and not understanding their proposal. Jong-jin shouts in disbelief, refusing to lose a match on purpose. He lunges at the senior, who effortlessly shoves him away. The senior angrily reminds him of the hierarchy, even between different schools. The leader calmly stops his friend, taking over the conversation. He tells Jong-jin not to think too hard about their suggestion. The leader says that for an ace like him, a single loss shouldn't matter. He frames it as a simple way of showing respect to his elders. Jong-jin glares back in silence, weighing his principles against their pressure. Back at the match, Jong-jin ignores their threats and executes a perfect throw. The senior athletes watch from the sidelines, stunned by his defiance. His defeated opponent curses him, but Jong-jin says he doesn't respect him. He tells the senior to act with honor if he wants to be treated with it. The other seniors are furious, but their leader just laughs it off. With a sinister grin, the leader reveals he had a backup plan. The defeated athlete on the mat suddenly smiles with malicious intent. Jong-jin's eyes widen, sensing that something is terribly wrong. His opponent suddenly screams in agony, clutching his arm in feigned pain. Jong-jin looks on in shock as the athlete accuses him of a dirty move. The crowd and even his own master look on in complete confusion. The referee points at Jong-jin, declaring a loss by foul play. Jong-jin's master furiously protests the foul, claiming his student was framed. From the mat, Jong-jin watches in stunned silence as the argument unfolds. The senior athlete just smirks, telling them to review the footage if they dare. Later, in a back room, the senior compliments his friend's convincing performance. They laugh about how their connections ensured the video review was ignored. The leader pulls out his phone, saying this is only the beginning of their lesson. With a sinister grin, he vows to show what happens to those without powerful parents. That night, Jong-jin returns home to find his father waiting in the dark. His father sits silently on the floor, surrounded by empty bottles. The scene shifts to a rainy night outside a bustling restaurant. Inside, the rival team celebrates their tainted victory with a loud party. Their cheers are suddenly cut short by an unexpected arrival. A menacing silhouette stands in the doorway, drenched from the storm. It's Jong-jin, his face a mask of cold, unwavering fury. The senior athlete looks up, nervously asking why he's there. Jong-jin confronts him, demanding to know why he went to such lengths. The senior feigns surprise, covering his mouth with a mocking hand. He casually dismisses Jong-jin's anger, showing no remorse. The senior suddenly lands a heavy blow, sending Jong-jin stumbling. He smugly declares that neither the father nor the son knows their place. The senior reveals a shocking connection. Jong-jin's father works for his dad's company. He recounts how Jong-jin's father tried to connect with his boss over their son's shared sport. With a wicked grin, he admits he helped his dad with some company restructuring. He mockingly advises Jong-jin to learn not to stand out so much. Jong-jin's face contorts in rage, realizing his father was fired for this petty reason. Another senior grabs his shoulder, trying to intimidate him. He angrily questions if that's how Jong-jin should speak to his elders. Jong-jin effortlessly blocks the incoming punch with one hand. In a flash of movement, he executes a perfect throw, slamming the senior down. The rest of the team looks on in shock, wondering if he's completely lost his mind. The leader orders his team to attack Jong-jin all at once. The entire group rushes forward, ready to overwhelm him. but Jungjin's face is a mask of pure, unrestrained fury. The restaurant erupts into a scene of complete chaos. In the aftermath, the entire team lies defeated on the floor. The leader nervously tells Jungjin to stop and talk things out. Jungjin furiously tells him that today, their score will be settled. The senior feigns calm, hiding a broken bottle behind his back. He suddenly lunges forward, aiming to end the fight. But Jungjin effortlessly blocks the desperate attack. With a swift motion, he sweeps the senior off his feet. He lifts his opponent, preparing for a devastating final move. The senior's face is forcefully pushed towards the hot grill. He lets out a horrified scream from the intense heat. Jungjin stands over him as the senior cries out in pain. The senior's face is a mask of pure terror and agony. The scene shifts to a police station on a rainy night. Inside, an angry man grabs Jungjin by the collar. He's surrounded by furious parents demanding to see his own. They scream at him for misusing his athletic abilities. One parent questions how he was raised, but Jungjin remains silent. The police struggle to control the enraged crowd. Suddenly, the station door opens and a man walks in. Jungjin looks up, his eyes wide with disbelief. An angry parent confronts the newcomer, demanding to know who he is. The man shoves the parent aside without a word. He walks directly towards Jungjin, ignoring everyone else. Jungjin can only stare in stunned silence. He recognizes the man whispering the word father. The other parents immediately turn on him, shouting about his son's actions. One parent shouts that Jungjin attacked their innocent children. Jungjin tries to explain, but his father silences him with a stern command. His father turns to the angry crowd and offers a sincere apology. To everyone's surprise, he bows deeply, taking full responsibility. He begs for forgiveness, promising to guide his son better in the future. The other parents erupt in fury, refusing to accept a simple apology. The senior's father agrees, stating this issue won't be so easily dismissed. He points out that their sons are also athletes, just like Jungjin. The man turns to Jungjin's father, addressing him as Manager Lee. He coldly reminds his former employee that his own son was injured. The man cruelly asks if getting fired wasn't enough for him. Overwhelmed, Jungjin's father drops to his knees on the station floor. Jungjin can only watch in utter shock and disbelief. On the ground, his father repeats that he is extremely sorry. Jungjin is horrified, realizing his father is blaming himself for everything. The man looks down, questioning if this is the best apology he can offer. He coldly suggests that Jungjin's father doesn't care about his son's fate. His father bows his head to the floor, pleading with the man. He promises to cover all the fees, admitting he wasn't thinking clearly. Jungjin cries out in agony, begging his father to stop. The other parents watch the desperate plea without a hint of sympathy. The man looks on as the father begs for his son to have a normal life. Overcome with guilt, Jungjin breaks down in tears, apologizing repeatedly. Back in the present, Jungjin stomps his foot, ready for the final clash. A powerful blow lands with a deafening impact. Sihwan shouts in disbelief, shocked that he took the hit head-on. Jungjin glares back, having absorbed Dam's punch without flinching. Dam immediately follows up with another powerful strike. Jungjin's eyes are wide as he questions Dam's motives. A flashback reveals the restaurant incident was ruled self-defense on camera. The master's voice echoes, asking if Jungjin comes every day to start anew. Jungjin quietly admits he just has nowhere else to go after school. Back in the present, he absorbs Dam's punch with a determined glare. Another powerful strike connects, but Jungjin doesn't even flinch. Dam is stunned, remembering the news report about the high school brawl. The report stated everyone involved was part of the judo club. Whispers followed Jungjin at school, with students shocked by his actions. Jungjin grabs Dam's arm, preparing to counter the relentless assault. Dam's voiceover recalls the promise of their school: effort leads to a good job. He remembers vowing to do his best if he was sent there. Dam's fist clenches, his own resolve hardening. A memory surfaces of his father calling his name as he was leaving. His father hesitates, then dismisses it as nothing. As Dam walks away, his father thinks that maybe it's possible. Dam realizes the opportunity to change was always there. He understands his father wasn't simply waiting for him to fail. His father was silently and constantly offering his support. Dam looks at his opponent with a newfound understanding. The judo master stares in disbelief at the outcome. Sihwan and the other students are completely speechless. The referee declares the match is over, announcing Dam as the victor. Dam looks down at his gloves, seemingly unsatisfied with the win. He removes his gloves and drops them onto the mat. Dam tells a stunned Sihwan to get his clothes so they can leave. He puts on his jacket, stating he'll keep his promise. Dam informs the master that Jungjin won't be allowed back in the dojo. The master agrees, promising to ensure Jungjin doesn't train elsewhere. With the deal settled, Dam turns to finally leave. A voice suddenly calls out, making him stop in annoyance. He turns to see Jung Jin, back on his feet and ready for more. Dam complains that his opponent is like a zombie, refusing to stay down. Jung Jin ignores the taunt, asking about the opportunity Dam mentioned. Dam turns his back, scoffing at the question. He tells Jung Jin he should already know the answer himself. Dam waves goodbye, saying he's leaving for real this time. As he reaches for the door, Jung Jin desperately calls for him to wait. Jung Jin stares with a weary but determined expression. The master watches the exchange with a thoughtful look. He tells his student to forget it, reminding him that a man keeps his word. The master advises Jung Jin to just let Dam be. Dam suddenly changes his mind, saying he gets nothing out of Jung Jin quitting. Si Hwan looks on in relief as Dam decides to forget their deal. Dam explains that if Jung Jin quits, no one will be able to stop him anymore. He looks back at his rival, asking if he understands. With a determined gaze, Jung Jin quietly agrees. Dam lets out a breath, satisfied with the outcome. Si Hwan is completely stunned by this unexpected turn of events. He quickly bows to the master, saying he'll be leaving as well. Si Hwan gives a nervous laugh as the dojo members watch him go. The master and another student smile, realizing Dam wasn't so bad after all. Suddenly, Jung Jin's legs give out and he collapses to the mat. The master scolds him for acting tough when he can barely stand. With a wide grin, he asks his student what he plans to do now. Jung Jin looks up, exhausted but filled with a new sense of purpose. The scene shifts to Jung Jin's father at his delivery job, receiving a phone call. He answers nervously, sweat dripping down his face. It's Jung Jin, who simply says he wanted to call his father. Afterwards, the scene shifts to the high school, where rumors are spreading fast. Thanks to Si Hwan's excited testimony, the school is in an uproar. Other students gossip in disbelief, questioning how Lee Jong-jin could have lost. One student furiously questions the truth of the matter, refusing to believe the rumors. He yells at Si Hwan, asking how Jung-jin could possibly lose to a hoodlum. After his outburst, he dismisses the topic, telling Si Hwan to just forget it. But Si Hwan calmly replies that the transfer student didn't seem like a bad guy. The student erupts in anger again, as a caption reveals Jung-jin confirmed the rumors himself. The scene shifts as a classroom door slides open. A new student with a serious expression walks into the room. He looks around the classroom, seemingly impressed by what he sees. While reading a book, he comments on the author's skillful use of language. Another student approaches, asking if he heard the news that Lee Jong-jin lost. A shadowy figure tells the new student that he's up next. He crushes the book in his hand, scoffing that it was obvious the judo bastard would lose. A caption introduces him as the 6th-ranked fighter in Gangbuk High. Meanwhile, a menacing student named Choi Dong-hwan decides to educate the transfer student himself. Elsewhere, another powerful student, Park Ho-dong, stands over his defeated opponents. He suddenly senses a presence that surpasses even his own strength. Park Ho-dong looks over his shoulder, wondering who it could be. The towering Choi Dong-hwan grabs him from behind, revealing he is Pak Hai's 6th rank. With a sinister grin, Choi Dong-hwan introduces himself as the physical therapist. A nerdy student gasps in shock, exclaiming that he's the biggest guy in the school. He whispers to his friend that Dong-hwan's size isn't the only surprising thing about him. The student reveals rumors that Dong-hwan was a hired thug back in 10th grade. His friend covers his mouth, clearly annoyed by the long-winded explanation. He shouts for the key points, not wanting to hear Dong-hwan's entire biography. Another student watches them, noting how his friend has changed since fighting Jung-jin. The nerdy student explains that Dong-hwan uses self-taught wrestling techniques. He adds that Dong-hwan's real weapon is his dangerous physique. The other student cuts him off, asking about his weaknesses instead. The nerdy student reveals that Choi Dong-hwan is known to be crazy about girls. As his friend stares blankly, the nerdy student insists that he's not kidding. The student reveals Dong-hwan cried for 3 days after being rejected by a part-timer. Dam looks unimpressed, noting that Dong-hwan didn't even know the girl. He asks his friend for any other useful quirks, like the intel on Jung-jin. The friend admits something else has been bothering him about Jung-jin's past. He found articles suggesting the restaurant incident was self-defense. Dam dismisses the topic, asking for more information on Choi Dong-hwan. The nerdy student checks his notes, saying he's already covered everything. Dam sighs, concluding Dong-hwan is just a hoodlum with a large frame. His friend suddenly changes the subject, questioning Dam's recent actions. He asks why Dam pretended to only know rumors about Jung-jin's situation. The friend points out that Dam ultimately helped Jung-jin return to judo. He observes that Jung-jin seems to believe Dam truly understood him. Dam suddenly grabs his friend's face, annoyed by the personal questions. He abruptly ends the conversation, telling his friend they should go to the store. The friend is left confused, finding Dam increasingly difficult to figure out. He jots down more notes, acknowledging Dam is different from the others. The student stares at his notebook, unable to fathom the depth of the difference. He knows he can't ask Dam directly, as he avoids talking about himself. The friend looks up from his notes, his thoughts focused on Dam. He sits at his desk, wondering what kind of life Dam has truly lived. The scene shifts to a quiet apartment building at dusk. Inside a sparse room, Dam lies on his bed, relaxing. The scene fades to white, transitioning into a flashback. Dam lies on his bed, his expression serious as he remembers his past. A hand touches his cheek as a voice asks about his sad expression. A woman with a gentle smile looks down at him. She comforts a younger, pouting version of Dam. His mother asks if he's upset about not winning an art competition. Young Dam turns away, saying it doesn't matter if she liked his art. He laments that it was the last competition of the year, his art supplies nearby. His mother smiles, insisting her praise for his art is genuine. But she playfully teases that his tree drawing was a little strange. A young Dam shouts in frustration as his mother laughs, saying she's kidding. Her expression turns serious as she hopes her son will realize something important. She explains that opportunities are always present, even if they're not obvious. Holding his hands, she advises him not to be in such a hurry. She tells him to always be prepared for when those chances finally arrive. He looks away shyly as she asks if he understands her lesson. Annoyed, he flops onto his bed and turns his back to her. He grumbles that he hates her, knowing she'll be disappointed if he loses again. Later, a sudden knock at the door interrupts the quiet evening. Dam wonders who could possibly be visiting at this late hour. His mother calls out for Assistant Choi, asking if he's downstairs. A sleepy Dam rubs his eyes, confused by the unfamiliar name. She walks to the door, wondering aloud where the assistant could be. A sudden sense of dread washes over Dam as he tells his mother to stop. She heads for the door anyway, ignoring his desperate plea. His eyes widen in sheer terror, sensing imminent danger. He tries to stand, but his legs are frozen with fear. As his mother reaches for the handle, he silently begs his body to move. He grits his teeth, screaming internally for his legs to obey. The desperate struggle continues as panic completely takes over. He collapses to the floor, his strength failing him. Looking up from the ground, his face is a mask of horror and despair. He sees his mother lying on the floor, her eyes wide with pain. She weakly whispers his name as he stares back, completely stunned. A chaotic memory flashes of his mother screaming for him to run. Frozen in place, tears stream down his face as a voice calls his name. Another blurry memory shows a man's face, pleading for someone to hold on. The flashback ends with Dam kneeling alone, facing a closed door with a menacing shadow outside. A young Dam is lost in a traumatic memory, questioning why it all happened. A monstrous voice screams at him, asking why he was the only one to survive. He snaps back to reality, looking panicked as he opens his apartment door. A female classmate stands in the doorway, looking at him with concern. She reminds him they were supposed to study, asking why he didn't answer her knocks. Noticing his state, she asks what he was doing to be sweating so much. The girl stares at him, her eyes wide with confusion and worry. She suddenly gets flustered, apologizes, and quickly runs away down the hall. Dam watches her go, still reeling from the intensity of his flashback. He leans out the door, shouting that it's not what she thinks, which startles her. Their argument in the hallway is cut short by an annoyed neighbor. Elsewhere, a student reports that a fighter named Cho Yohan has gone missing. His superior, Lee Hyungrok, the second in command of East Gangbuk High, looks skeptical. The student insists Pak High is in chaos and their leader must be informed. Meanwhile, someone's phone rings with an incoming call from Lee Hyungrok. A man with messy hair answers, annoyed at the interruption. On the other end, Hyungrok stands with his crew, ready to deliver the news. He reports that trouble is brewing on Pak Hai's side. The leader, Jang Dongchul, erupts in fury over the phone. He demands a clear and immediate explanation of the situation. The scene shifts, showing another school's leader interrogating his subordinate. A montage reveals various school factions are in a state of conflict. New key players are introduced, including a formidable female fighter. A chart displays the rankings of the top fighters from each major school. The leader of West Gangbuk High, Kim Soo-hyun, stands at the center of his crew. His subordinates discuss the recent power shifts and their next move. A flashback shows a brutal confrontation involving a fighter named Seyun. In the aftermath, his brother looks on with a grim expression. Back in the present, the West Gangbuk crew targets a fighter named Lim Gun. The leaders of two different crews meet, discussing a tense and fragile alliance. A girl in a purple tracksuit, nervously tells a long-haired student she has a favor to ask. He looks at her, confused by her sudden hesitation. She suddenly shouts, absolutely refusing his unspoken request. She yells that she can't just play with someone's feelings like that. He clarifies it would only be for a few days, but she insists it's still wrong. She adds that she has no reason to accept his strange proposal. He sighs, telling her to forget it if it's such a big deal. An awkward silence falls between them as they sit at his desk. He changes the subject, asking why she came to Seoul. The girl explains it's unusual for a high schooler to live alone in a Goshiwon. She turns the question back on him, asking for his reason. He admits it wasn't for a grand dream, guessing their situations are similar. He then asks how she managed to move here without much money. She explains it's a long story, but she came without much of a plan. He listens intently as she begins her tale. She recounts how on her first day, a guy on a motorcycle threw money everywhere. Her eyes light up as she calls it a miracle. He asks for more details about this mysterious benefactor. She describes a man with long hair, mourning clothes, and a strange log on his back. As she speaks, she points out his similar features and belongings in the room. Realizing it was his money, he grabs her, furiously demanding she give it back. The girl panics, screaming that she can't possibly return it now. She reveals the money was condolence money for her father. He grabs her collar, not caring about her excuse. He leans in close, his expression turning dark. He suggests that if she can't pay with cash, she can work off the debt. The student asks her what she thinks of his alternative. Her face fills with dread at his unsettling proposal. She stares back, completely frozen in fear. The scene ends on her horrified expression. A student sighs, staring at an awkward text exchange on his phone. The girl from the texts nervously wonders how to respond to a movie invitation. Lost in thought, she accidentally bumps into another student in the hallway. The student she ran into gives her an unimpressed, silent stare. She quickly apologizes, admitting she wasn't paying attention. Her eyes widen in sudden recognition as she looks at him. A new text from Dam appears on her screen, telling her to end the charade now. She panics, wondering how she's supposed to cut things off with her target. With a pained expression, she silently apologizes to a boy named Dongwon. Elsewhere, Dongwon awkwardly asks the school nurse if she's his type. The nurse smiles, playfully asking if he's trying to flirt with a teacher. He gets flustered, clarifying that he's asking for a completely different reason. With a blush, Dongwon leans in and confesses he's found someone he likes. The nurse is delighted by the news, but senses he has a concern. He admits he's worried his date will be disappointed after meeting him in person. Dongwon explains that his intimidating appearance has always pushed people away. The nurse reassures him, making him blush by saying she likes his type. She smiles warmly, calling him dependable and kind. She lists his best features, describing him as strong and handsome. Dongwon's confidence is restored by her encouraging words. He walks down the hall, determined to ask his crush out again. He suddenly stops in his tracks, his eyes wide with surprise. Dongwon sees that the girl, Yena, has finally replied to his text. He stands frozen, his back turned as he reads the message. The text is a blunt rejection, telling him to never contact her again. A caption explains the immense shock completely shatters his spirit. Having lost his will to fight, someone grabs his shoulder from behind. Dam appears with a grin, announcing it's time for them to fight. Dongwon looks utterly defeated, barely able to form a sentence. A powerful impact sends him reeling from the sudden confrontation. Dongwon is sent flying down the school hallway from the force of the blow. Dam grins, declaring that his opponent finally said yes to the fight. A flashback begins, showing a worn-down house near a train track at sunset. A caption introduces a young, oversized Choi Dong-hwan. He recalls his father leaving, followed by his mother who never returned. Young Dong-hwan was left in the care of his landlady, abandoned by his parents. As time passed, his large body continued to draw unwanted attention. In elementary school, a group of bullies decided to challenge him. They demanded a fight, but Dong-hwan was just confused by the sudden confrontation. The bullies are stunned into silence by his intimidating size up close. Dong-hwan starts to cry, terrified by the prospect of a fight. He begs them to reconsider, his face contorted with fear. The lead bully is so frightened by Dong-hwan's expression that he has an accident. He collapses to the floor, wailing in embarrassment. The other students mistakenly believe Dong-hwan defeated him with a single stare. The situation didn't improve when he entered middle school. His imposing shadow falls over two girls walking in the schoolyard. One girl teases her friend, jokingly calling Dong-hwan her boyfriend. Dong-hwan stands frozen, caught in their awkward conversation. The other girl erupts in fury, screaming at her friend for the joke. Dong-hwan is heartbroken by her harsh rejection, tears streaming down his face. The narration explains that as he got older, things only got worse. But in high school, a girl finally approached him with a smile. She asked for his number, and he believed he had finally found his first love. He sits in class, convinced she must have been interested in him. He decides to fold 1,000 paper cranes to confess his feelings. Dongwon daydreams that they will become a beautiful couple, but he overhears the girl laughing, asking why she would ever date him. She admits she only keeps him around because he looks like a bulldog. Her friends mock his plan to confess with 1,000 paper cranes. Dongwon holds the jar of paper cranes as others mock his romantic gesture. On a crowded bus, he wonders if his true self doesn't match his appearance. He stares blankly ahead, questioning what kind of person he's supposed to be. A montage shows him being rejected from every normal job he applies for. A shady man offers him a high-paying job that perfectly suits his intimidating looks. His mere presence is enough to scare people away, a power he never wanted. He realizes his physique was perfect for the role of a thug, even if he did nothing. For the first time, people praise him for his appearance, calling him reliable. He forces a smile, finally feeling a sense of acceptance. He falls deeper into the role, embracing the life of an enforcer. With a menacing grin, he decides a person should live a life that matches their looks. He felt something inside him crack, but chose to ignore it, believing this was his path. His new boss orders the crew to get demolition signatures from a residential area. Dongwon's face falls as he recognizes the neighborhood. The leader points to a small house, deciding to start there. He sees the landlady who raised him, realizing she's their first target. The leader notices his hesitation, asking what's wrong. His boss confronts him, questioning why he isn't leading the charge like usual. The crew's faces distort into monstrous grins, telling him his soft look doesn't suit him. The flashback ends as he recalls how Yena's messages were his only comfort. Yena scrolls through his endless texts, her face a mask of pure annoyance. Back in the present, a sign for Class 3-3 is shown. Dongwon is absent from school. Sihwan's friend finds it strange that a tough guy is so broken up over a girl. The student suddenly looks up, sensing someone nearby. Another student confronts him for loitering outside someone else's classroom. The student's eyes widen in recognition as he gets a closer look. Sihwan cheerfully introduces himself, reminding the other they were classmates. The student grabs him, angrily telling him to learn to keep his head down. Sihwan is left confused, wondering if this is because he helped Dam win. He watches the student walk away, noting he hasn't been this on edge since that time. A flashback shows a pair of shattered glasses, recalling a time of pure chaos. In the past, a student aggressively confronts a teacher, demanding to go home. The student menacingly grabs the teacher's collar, questioning his authority. A younger, bruised Sihwan watches as the bullies mock the helpless teacher. The lead bully turns his attention to an unseen person, angrily asking what they're looking at. Suddenly, a powerful kick sends the bully flying across the classroom. Sihwan and the others stare in shock at the unexpected turn of events. A furious student appears, reminding the bully he was warned not to mess with teachers. Back in the present, Sihwan recalls that this student seemed the most normal, yet had a strange urgency. He wonders what's happening as the scene shifts to the school's male bathroom. Inside, a group of delinquents discusses their orders to bring someone to their leader. One of them complains about being sent alone to handle the task. A student named Park Seo arrives, delivering a requested item to his senior. The senior dismisses him, warning him to stay away from the upperclassman's territory. With a bandaged nose and wrapped hand, the senior struggles to light his cigarette. Seo decides to ask another upperclassman in the bathroom for a lighter. The senior tells him not to worry, judging that the other student isn't a ranked fighter. Seo loudly announces that Pak Hai's 8th rank needs to borrow a lighter. The senior impatiently tells the other student to hurry up and give him one. The student freezes in place, his face breaking out in a cold sweat. Seo mockingly asks his senior if the other student is deaf. He grins, suggesting the student is just completely terrified of them. The student is shown frozen against a stall door, paralyzed with fear. Suddenly, an unseen hand grabs Seo's face from the side. A student with long hair glares at him with a cold, serious expression. As the long-haired student leaves, he's surprised by someone entering the bathroom. A calm student with glasses stands in the doorway, looking at the scene. The long-haired student's expression hardens as he recognizes the newcomer. The student with glasses walks past, offering some polite advice as he leaves. He calls out to Wang Dam, inviting him to the store later if he enjoyed their meal. Dam finds the invitation random, but the other student says it's his mother's request. He explains that his mom hopes Dam will come by their place again. As Dam walks away, the student with glasses quietly admits the meal was good. He glances back into the bathroom, curious about the commotion. His eyes widen in complete shock at the scene inside. The student finds the delinquents from before, all defeated on the floor. The scene shifts to the schoolyard, with a student glad things are going smoothly. Si-Hwan's friend asks Dam when he plans to fight his next opponent. Dam looks annoyed, insisting he wants to take a break for the day. A sudden loud noise startles both of them from behind. A close-up reveals a face contorted in a furious, earth-shattering roar. A foot stomps down hard, kicking up a cloud of dust. An enraged Choi Dong-hwan confronts Dam, calling him a bastard. He furiously accuses Dam of doing something unforgivable. Si-Hwan's friend is stunned, believing Dong-hwan was in no condition to fight. A girl suddenly arrives, out of breath, begging them to stop. She runs towards the confrontation, completely exhausted from her sprint. Elsewhere, Yena scrolls through Dong-hwan's long messages, looking annoyed. She's surprised by his apology for rambling on for so long. His next message thanks her for helping him understand himself better. He leaves a final message, hoping she knows how honest he was with her. With a final goodbye, he promises to listen to her story if she ever returns. Yena's eyes widen slightly, processing his heartfelt words. She begins typing a new, honest message to Dong-hwan. Back in the schoolyard, Yena catches her breath, telling Dong-hwan to calm down. Dam recognizes her as Kang Yena, wondering what she's doing here. A student in the crowd has a sudden dramatic realization. He declares that Dam and Dong-hwan are fighting for Yena's affection. Si-Hwan's friend is thrilled by the unexpected turn of events. Another student watches with a deadpan expression, unimpressed by the revenge of love. Dam looks completely unimpressed, questioning the ridiculous situation. Dong-hwan confronts him, saying he's heard rumors but never expected this. He accuses Dam of threatening Yena after the money wasn't enough. Yena tries to explain, but Dong-hwan furiously asks if Dam dares to steal his girl. Si-Hwan's friend watches in confusion as the situation takes a bizarre turn. The other student strikes a dramatic pose, vowing not to forgive Dam. The crowd buzzes with excitement, gossiping about the supposed love triangle. The student enthusiastically praises his friend's incredible observational skills. Yena panics, insisting to Dam that she never said anything of the sort. With his back to her, Dong-hwan is touched that she came to see him. He tells her not to worry anymore, his resolve hardening against Dam. The crowd erupts, excited to finally see the transfer student's skills. Dong-hwan roars that he will get rid of the evil bastard for sure. Dam lets out a sigh, realizing he should have known this would happen. He mutters to himself that there are no shortcuts in life. A powerful blow connects with a deafening impact. The onlookers, including Yena, stare in shock at the sudden attack. Dam follows through with his punch, his expression completely focused. The strike lands squarely on Dong-hwan's face with incredible force. But it's Dam who stumbles backward from the sheer power of the impact. He plants his foot firmly on the ground, steadying himself with a smirk. Dong-hwan calmly rubs his chin, asking if Dam was trying to shave his beard. A student in the crowd realizes Dong-hwan's rank isn't just for show. Si-Hwan's friend notes that Dong-hwan's entire aura has changed since yesterday. Dam retorts that he was just trying to clean up his opponent's dirty beard. Dong-hwan confidently tells Dam that he can't possibly win this fight. He furiously explains it's because Dam never takes anything seriously. Dong-hwan claims that since transferring, everything has just been a game to Dam. Another student agrees, saying he's never sensed any seriousness from the newcomer. Dong-hwan declares that Yena, unlike Dam, truly understood his suffering. Dong-hwan glares, declaring he has a reason to win as long as Yena is watching. He grits his teeth, furious that Dam is treating their serious love like a game. With glowing eyes, he roars that his resolve is now unbreakable. The crowd erupts, recognizing this as Choi Dong-hwan's signature mad rush. He charges forward, vowing to end the fight as quickly as possible. Dam watches the incoming assault with a completely unimpressed expression. Si-Hwan's friend realizes that Dam isn't just about jokes as Dam firmly plants his foot in the dirt. In a flash, Dam kicks up a cloud of dust straight at Dong-hwan's face. Dong-hwan screams in agony, clutching his eyes in pain. With a wild grin, Dam mockingly calls his opponent a dumbass. The nerdy student looks on unimpressed as the crowd cheers for the dirty tactic. Dong-hwan struggles to see, his vision completely blurred by the dirt. He swings blindly, desperately trying to land a hit on his opponent. Dam effortlessly grabs Dong-hwan's uniform, stopping the wild attack. He smirks from behind, taunting his blinded opponent. Dam easily ducks under another one of Dong-hwan's powerful but clumsy swings. Dam is surprised by his opponent's speed while Dong-hwan grits his teeth in frustration. Dam's expression turns serious as he sizes up the situation. Dong-hwan roars, vowing to land a punch just like the one he imagines. He's suddenly struck by a powerful blow, realizing it's the same spot as before. A close-up shows the devastating impact connecting with his jaw. Dam taunts him, asking why he isn't fighting back like he promised. A student in the crowd realizes the damage from the first hit is just now taking effect. He analyzes the fight, noting Dongwon's advantage is his powerful physique. But he points out that Dam's reflexes and speed are on another level. The nerdy friend adds that Dam targets weak points, making Dongwon's size meaningless. He concludes that Dam's fighting style is the perfect counter to Dongwon. Dam knows his opponent's wrestling is dangerous, but his attacks are so telegraphed that they're easy to dodge. Dam lands another blow, rendering his opponent's strength pointless. Dongwon is stunned, realizing Dam is far stronger than he imagined. Yena watches from the crowd, her face completely shadowed with worry. Gritting his teeth, Dongwon finds new resolve with Yena watching him. He roars that he can't give up, grabbing Dam's arm with all his might. But Dam effortlessly dodges his opponent's wild, desperate swings. Dam's eyes widen in surprise at an unexpected move. He quickly blocks a powerful punch with his elbow. Dam realizes his opponent is surprisingly fast for his size. He knows he can't afford to look down on Dongwon's raw power either. Dam firmly plants his foot, preparing for the incoming charge. With glowing eyes, Dongwon vows that his opponent won't escape. He lunges forward, attempting a powerful wrestling takedown. The onlookers gasp, wondering if Dongwon finally caught him. Dam grunts, caught in the powerful tackle. Dongwon lifts him high into the air, ready for a devastating slam. A massive impact shakes the schoolyard. Dongwon slams Dam hard onto the dusty ground. He grabs Dam's jacket, pulling him back up for another attack. Dam is sent flying through the air from the sheer force of the throw. Dongwon screams in frustration, tired of his opponent's tricks. But Dam grabs onto the jacket, refusing to let go. He uses the momentum to swing himself onto Dongwon's back. Dam's hand tightens its grip on the fabric. He wraps the jacket around Dongwon's neck, applying pressure. The crowd realizes Dam has perfectly executed a chokehold. A student shouts that it's over, telling Dongwon to escape. Dongwon digs his heel into the ground, trying to resist. He struggles for air, his body straining against the hold. Yena can only watch in stunned silence, her face filled with dread. Yena screams for the fight to stop immediately. A flashback shows the landlady trying to protect her home from thugs. The leader mockingly tells Dongwon he should have spoken up sooner. Dongwon realizes with horror that this was never what he wanted. He only tried to live the life his appearance seemed to dictate. Believing he had no other choice, something inside him begins to crack. All he ever wanted was to be acknowledged by others. His simple wish to live a happy life shatters into pieces. He remembers the landlady's words telling him never to hate himself. A younger Dongwon recalls his mother leaving him in the landlady's care. His mother's tearful apology echoes as he questions if he was ever worthy of love. Back in the present, the landlady cries that this is the only home his mother can return to. The leader angrily shoves the elderly woman aside.
Suddenly, a powerful hand grabs the leader's jacket, stopping him.
Dongwon shields the crying landlady, his expression filled with resolve. The other thugs stare in disbelief at his sudden defiance. Through tears, Dongwon admits he can't work for them. He declares with finality that he can't do this anymore. His former boss questions his actions as Dongwon apologizes. The landlady looks on in shock as he announces he's quitting. The thugs are stunned, but Dongwon tells them to get their equipment. The leader rages, asking how they'll get past the monster now. A subordinate hands the leader a heavy metal pipe. He orders Dongwon to move, but he refuses to budge. The leader taunts him, saying he doesn't act the way he looks. He warns Dongwon that he brought this upon himself as a thug prepares to strike. The scene pans out over the quiet neighborhood at sunset. The leader furiously orders his men to force the signature. His crew hesitates, staring at the battered but unyielding Dongwon. The leader's face falls as he sees the police arriving on the scene. A subordinate urges his boss to flee as the police have been called. As the authorities arrive, one of the thugs immediately confronts an officer. The young officer freezes, completely overwhelmed by the situation. The landlady cries, hugging Dongwon and calling him her grandson. Battered but resolute, Dongwon holds her tightly, protecting her. A single tear falls as he questions if this is the consequence of his actions. In a flashback, a younger Dongwon sits alone in a dark room. The landlady's hand gently touches his face, calling his name. She smiles warmly, telling him to stay healthy and live a happy life. He looks up at her, touched, as she says how happy she is to have him. The narration reveals her illness worsened, and she was never the same. After she passed, Dongwon was left completely alone in the world. He was consumed by regret and a deep-seated self-hatred. He stopped trying to find himself, seeing only a monster in his reflection. His eyes are filled with a crushing sense of despair. He remembers her final words telling him that no matter what happens, he must never hate himself, a promise he knew he had to keep. He learned of a school where fighting prowess could secure a future. He clung to the hope that success might bring his mother back. To survive, he decided to become the monster everyone saw him as. He knew he was breaking his promise to his grandma and would regret it. Kneeling alone, he apologizes, feeling he had no other choice. A voice cuts through his thoughts, telling him not to say such things. His eyes snap open, a new thought taking hold. Back in the present, Dongwon is on the phone, asking what the caller means. The scene shifts to Yena's apartment building at night. Dam stands outside her door, but she tells him she's not feeling well. He looks annoyed, telling her to just leave if she's not buying him dinner. Yena snaps back, asking if this is about tricking Dongwon, telling him to go away. The conversation ends with the image of her firmly closed door. Dam stands before Yena's closed apartment door. He starts knocking repeatedly, refusing to be ignored. Yena throws the door open, furiously asking if he understands words. Her anger fades to confusion as he holds out a bag of food. Dam tells her to at least eat properly even if she won't study. She takes the food as he turns to leave, closing the door behind him. Yena mutters to herself that he really is a guy who does whatever he wants. Back in his own apartment, Dam lies on his bed, lost in thought. He reflects on how the world labeled him a thug who knew nothing. A memory of Dongwon's pained face flashes, recalling a life forced upon him. Dam dismisses the useless thoughts, deciding to just take a shower. The scene shifts to water pouring from a shower head. In the shower, his scarred and muscular back is revealed. He turns to face the water, his expression grim and serious. A new memory begins, telling him to remember the feeling he just had. In a flashback, a hand places a weapon into a younger boy's grasp. A man warns the boy that a day will come when he must end a life. The boy recoils, his hair flying back in shock. The man tells him not to be afraid and to react properly when the time comes. He explains that people like them will never be free from hatred and rage. A monstrous figure appears, warning that yearning for normalcy will dull his blade. The man explains a dull knife will only take his own life, not his enemy's. He continues that even if fate changes, hatred will only grow into a bigger blade. It will eventually take something more important than his own life. The boy looks down, rain mixing with his tears. The man's menacing face appears, telling him to give up on being loved. He warns that even successful revenge will never lead to happiness. The flashback ends as Dam stands under the running water. His face is weary, the water washing over his troubled expression. He looks at his reflection in the steamy mirror, admitting to himself that it's tiring. In a bustling city at night, a voice complains about working hard while others have fun. A green-haired student asks his friend for confirmation, who nervously questions why he was brought along. They enter an office, explaining they were sent alone to avoid attention, and are immediately confronted. The office worker is grabbed, yelling that the place is reserved for Chunghan High students. His head is slammed onto the desk as the green-haired student confirms they've found their target. The student looks up, annoyed, as his friend nervously asks what's happening. A large group of men in suits blocks the hallway, ready for a fight. The green-haired student laughs, unimpressed by the show of force. With a confident step, he announces they're from Chunghan High. He clarifies they represent the Seoul High School Alliance, standing ready for a confrontation. The opposing leader, Jang Yoon-sung, listens as they extend another offer to join them. The student's expression turns to rage, declaring they'll pay for rejecting the offer. Yoon-sung tries to stifle a laugh at the bold threat. His entire crew erupts in laughter, mocking the two intruders. The laughter is cut short by a sudden powerful impact to the face. The green-haired fighter leaps into the air, delivering a devastating kick. They land amidst the shocked crowd, ready for more. With a pained grimace, the fighter's eyes burn with intensity. The brawl begins as they trade blows with the suited men. One of the thugs lands a hit on the nerdy friend, while the other is distracted. The green-haired fighter retaliates, landing a clean punch on another opponent. The nerdy friend is cornered by two thugs who demand to know who he is. His face darkens as he pulls out his phone, his glasses glowing ominously. He swiftly dodges an incoming punch, his phone held like a weapon. His eyes are revealed, glowing with an unexpected and intense focus. He strikes an opponent with his phone, the impact sending out a shockwave. The thug reels back, crying out in pain from the surprising attack. The nerdy student grabs his opponent's collar, showing a new side of himself. With a menacing red aura, he unleashes another powerful blow. Jang Yoon-sung watches from the back, his confident smirk now replaced with shock. The brawl intensifies as another thug is sent flying down the hallway. The green-haired fighter scoffs at her defeated opponent, mocking his choice of leader. A powerful impact flashes across the tiled office floor. A terrified subordinate screams out for his boss, Yoon-sung. Yoon-sung looks on in disbelief, his suit torn in the chaos. An earring clatters to the ground, ripped from its owner. The subordinate clutches his ear as his attacker asks why he's running. With a crazed grin, she tells him he should have asked for permission to leave. She looms over her fallen opponent, calling him a loser. A hand suddenly grabs another thug's shoulder from behind. The nerdy student reveals a dark side, his glowing eyes fixed on his new target. The scene shifts to a peaceful, sunlit apartment. A photo sits on a desk, the girl's face obscured by a bright reflection. A white-haired young man stands alone on his balcony at night. He picks up his phone as it buzzes with a new notification. The green-haired fighter texts a selfie with the defeated crew, reporting her success. Her face falls in disappointment at the curt, two-word reply. She grits her teeth, annoyed by his cold response. She mutters that his looks are the only good thing about him. A defeated man on the floor begs for mercy, promising to pay what they owe. The nerdy student delivers another swift, decisive blow. The green-haired fighter reminds the man of the offer he foolishly rejected. Elsewhere, the white-haired man thinks they should have accepted the deal. His thoughts are interrupted by an incoming call from his father. He stares at the screen, his expression unreadable. He answers the phone, his eyes widening slightly. The voice on the other end isn't his father, but someone named Manager An. The manager offers to relay any message to the chairman. The white-haired man explains he wanted to discuss the high school alliance. On the other end, the chairman dismisses the call before it can even begin. The white-haired man reluctantly agrees to speak on the phone. His eyes are wide with intensity as he listens to the voice on the other end. His father boasts about the high school alliance he created. The man claims that nearly every school in Seoul has fallen under his control. He belittles his son's efforts, saying he still has a long way to go. The chairman coldly asks if that was all his son wanted to discuss. The young man finally addresses the powerful figure as father. He points out that his father has never once called him. Standing alone on his balcony, he wonders why his father is so distant. He furiously asks how much more he must prove to be acknowledged. The father's voice cuts him off, simply saying, "That's enough." The chairman states that results, not questions, will earn his son recognition. He hangs up, ordering his son not to call again for such minor things. The young man's eyes glow with rage at the cold dismissal. A wine glass sits peacefully on a sunlit table. In a sudden burst of fury, a hand shatters the glass. The white-haired man stands with a stained sleeve and injured hand. His face is shadowed as he stares at his own hand. Splatters of red liquid and broken glass litter the floor. He brings his hand to his mouth, his expression dark and unsettling. His stained shirt is thrown carelessly onto the floor. Now shirtless, he sits on a couch, his powerful build on display. His face is completely obscured by shadow, hiding his thoughts. A slow, menacing grin begins to form on his face. He wonders aloud if he's still nothing but an annoying child in his father's eyes. Rising from his bed, he vows to show his father something truly impactful. He's determined to finally change his father's perception of him. His phone shows new messages, but he declares his only target left is Gangbuk High.